You're in Konoha, and you call these ninja tools? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Classic Reappearance. Inside the ninja school, the news that Tianyu would give a speech as an outstanding graduate today had already been announced in advance, so many students already knew about it. Hiruno Sakura looked at Sasuke not far away with a crazy look on her face, drooling, "Wow, Sasuke-kun is so handsome every day. Hey, I must defeat Ino and become Sasuke's girlfriend. Humph, only I am the woman worthy of Sasuke." Thinking this in her heart, Hiruno Sakura suddenly realized that Ino seemed to have not appeared besides Sasuke during this period of time. Could it be that she gave up Sasuke because she knew she couldn't beat herself? Hiruno Sakura's eyes fell on Ino, who was sitting between Narashikamaru and Akimichi Chaji not far away, and then she was surprised to find that this woman Ino, she was actually putting on makeup. Oh my god. She was so beautiful today. Ino's temperament was originally very unique, and the whole person was as bright as a cosmos. After putting on makeup today, the whole person was even more delicate like a doll, very sexy. Although Hiruno Sakura was reluctant to admit it, she realized that Ino today completely outshined her. She immediately stood up from her seat, walked in front of Ino, and declared her sovereignty aggressively. "Ino, it's useless even if you put on makeup. Sasuke will not like you." Huh? Ino looked up in confusion, and it took her a moment to react that she had fallen out with Sakura because of Sasuke. So she smiled brightly, with light in her eyes. "Don't worry, I won't compete with you for Sasuke. I already have my own male god. Sakura was stunned for a few seconds, and couldn't help but blurt out, "The person who can make you give up Sasuke. Is he more handsome than Sasuke?" Ino smiled, "Of course. He is not only more handsome than Sasuke, but also stronger than Sasuke, and his personality is gentler than Sasuke. He is simply the ideal perfect male god in my mind." Hiruno Sakura couldn't help but take a half step back, with an expression of disbelief on her face, shaking her head and denying, "Impossible, how can there be someone more handsome than Sasuke?" Ino was too lazy to explain more to her, and said perfunctorily, "Whether you believe it or not, what I said is the truth. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. I haven't finished my makeup yet. My idol is coming to our class to give a speech today. I must appear in front of him in the most beautiful image." Shikamaru leaned back in his chair and said helplessly to Chaji next to him, "Women are really troublesome. That guy named Tianyu is really in trouble. Don't you think so, Chaji?" Chaji kept eating the potato chips in his pocket and said vaguely, well. Tianyu and Naruto walked to the ninja school together. When they arrived in the classroom, there were already quite a few people in the classroom. Tianyu also saw several other people among the 12 young warriors of Konoha who he had not met yet, including Narashikamaru, Akimichi Chaji, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino. Naruto naturally returned to his seat, while Tianyu went directly to the office to find the class teacher Umino Iruka. Soon, Umino Iruka came to the classroom and said to the many students in the classroom, "Students, today is the day of your graduation exam. As long as you pass the exam, you will be real ninjas. Of course, before your assessment, we also invited your last outstanding graduate, Tianyu. Although he is only 1 year older than you, he is now the captain of the Anbu and is a very powerful ninja. Next, he will give you a speech and share his own experience." Hoo-la-la. Thunderous applause suddenly rang out from below. The classmates in the class were full of curiosity about a legendary Tianyu. Several students even stretched their necks to look outside the classroom. And at the moment Tianyu walked in, the air suddenly became quiet for a few seconds, as if time had frozen here. Then, there were several sounds of gasping for air. In Tianyu's eyes, he saw a face full of astonishment. So handsome. Hiruno Sakura couldn't help but put her hand over her mouth, and couldn't help showing shock in her eyes. At this moment, she finally believed what Ino said to her just now. Yes, the man in front of her is indeed more handsome than Sasuke. No wonder Ino changed her mind. No. Sasuke is the only one in my heart. Hiruno Sakura didn't want to admit that at that moment. Her will was shaken a little bit. Tianyu stood on the podium and gave a very moving speech, sharing some of his experiences and insights in ninjutsu training. The students below immediately showed their yearning on their faces. They were all excited and wanted to become real ninjas immediately and fight against the enemy on the battlefield. After his speech, hula la. The applause was like a tide, and it lasted for dozens of seconds before it slowly stopped. Yumino Iruka couldn't help but show a little more respect in his eyes, and he said in his heart, "You are worthy of being Lord Amaji." Just a speech of more than 10 minutes can make such a big change in the momentum of these students. Even if they are asked to go to the battlefield immediately, I am afraid these students will not hesitate at all. Even if they are bleeding, they will rush forward immediately. In the whole village, he has only seen such a strong and inspiring temperament in the third Hokage. Sasuke's eyes have been on Amaji. He is not like Iruno Sakura, who cares about whether he is handsome or not. Instead, he heard that Amaji, who is only 13 years old, has become the captain of the Anbu. At this age and with such strength, he can be regarded as a true genius. Even that man back then couldn't do it to this extent. At this time, he heard a very noisy Naruto next to him showing off to others. "Hey, you saw it this time. He is my big brother Tianyu. How about it? Is he as awesome as I said before?" Sasuke couldn't help but said coldly, "What are you proud of? He is the awesome one, not you." "Huh? Arrogant Sasuke. Can't I be proud of my big brother? If you have the ability, you can also have such an awesome big brother." Naruto jumped onto the table and glared at Sasuke. "Shut up. The last one." Having been poked in the sore spot, Sasuke glared at him fiercely. Then at this moment, Shikamaru, who was sitting in front, suddenly leaned back and touched Naruto's butt. So, the most classic scene in the original work was reproduced in the classroom. Kiss. Chapter 102, Accidental Ninja Number 1. Seeing this scene, Tianyu suddenly felt that his eyes were about to be blinded by the light. Although he had seen this scene in the original book, it was different from the close contact he was having now. It was really a bit exciting. Ah! Naruto and Sasuke both screamed at the same time, and then quickly separated from their original positions. The two began to vomit wildly in different directions, and even wanted to vomit out the overnight meal from last night before they would stop. The whole classroom suddenly became chaotic. The girls in the class, led by Sakura, screamed one after another, even more exaggerated than Naruto and Sasuke. How could this happen? This is Sasuke's first kiss. The voice of crying and shouting came, whether it was Iruka, Tianyu, or the other boys in the class, their faces showed helpless expressions. Although Tianyu's appearance just now surprised many people and made many girls secretly look at him, but Sasuke benefited from the excellent genes of the Uchiha clan and looked as handsome as in the original book, and there were still many fans in the class. Naruto. So, Naruto became the public enemy of the girls in the class, and they beat him up fiercely. In the classroom, the other students lined up like Tianyu and the others when they graduated, and entered the classroom one by one to take the graduation test. Next, Yamanaka Ino. Iruka called out at the entrance of the examination room. Yamanaka Ino walked into the classroom in a proper manner, put his hands in front of his chest, and bang! A person who looked exactly like himself appeared. "Very good, passed," Iruka said with a smile. Next, Hyuga Hinata. Hyuga Hinata secretly glanced in the direction of Tianyu at this time. Tianyu smiled at her gently and whispered, "Don't be nervous, just play normally, I believe in your ability." Thank you." Hinata's voice was as thin as a mosquito, with a bit of blush on her face. She immediately turned her head away shyly, buried her head low, and kept pointing her index finger, and walked into the examination room. What a cute girl, Tianyu couldn't help thinking in his heart. After a while, Hinata came out of the classroom. "Tianyu, I passed the test." "Thank you." Hinata whispered again to thank him. "Very good, Hinata." Tianyu smiled and touched her head. Hinata's face became even redder. She stood in front of Tianyu, as if she wanted to say something, but she didn't seem to have the courage to say it. At this time, a figure rushed in front of Tianyu. It was Naruto, who was beaten up by the group just now. He shouted loudly, "Wow! Brother Tianyu, what should I do? I'm so nervous." "What are you afraid of?" Tianyu said with a smile, "According to what I taught you before, haven't you already learned how to use the clone technique?" Naruto nodded. Next, Uzumaki Naruto. After hearing Iruka call his name, Naruto immediately plucked up his courage and entered the examination room. Then after a while, A very loud voice came from the classroom. Uzumaki Naruto failed. Huh? Shianayu couldn't help but flash a trace of surprise in his eyes. This shouldn't be the case. Under his guidance, Naruto can now master part of his chakra very well. It shouldn't be difficult for him to perform the clone technique. At this time, the door of the classroom opened. At this time, Naruto walked out. No, it should be said that he rushed out. Naruto. Shianayu was about to ask something, but Naruto seemed to ignore him and jumped past him at an amazing speed. Almost there, there are still 2 meters away, he will be there soon. Puchy. Naruto's body suddenly froze in the air for a few seconds. He stood blankly only half a meter away from the bathroom, and the expression on his face was uglier than crying. Tian, Shianayu brother. Shianayu had completely understood what had just happened. He could only put his hand on his forehead, sighed helplessly, and nodded, I know. Half an hour later, Shianayu took a clean set of clothes and handed it to Naruto, who was hiding in the bathroom. 2 hours later, after taking a shower and changing clothes in the bathroom, Naruto sat on a bench in the school with Shianayu. At this time, the disappointment on Naruto's face gradually emerged. I'm sorry, Shianayu, I messed up everything. Naruto said with his head down. He failed the graduation test. Naruto's first reaction was to feel annoyed that he had failed Shianayu's expectations of him. He had not even passed the graduation test of the ninja school, and he had embarrassed such an excellent and powerful Shianayu. So the real reason for your failure in the test is... Although he had roughly guessed it in his heart, he still couldn't help asking. I have diarrhea. Naruto said hesitantly, with an obvious look of grievance on his face, and then he couldn't help but burst into tears in front of Shianayu. Wow. I really shouldn't have eaten instant noodles in the morning. It must be the problem of that bowl of instant noodles, otherwise how could I suddenly have diarrhea today? I was sweating all over in the examination room, and I couldn't extract any chakra. Woo woo woo. Damn instant noodles. I will never eat it again in the future. Shianayu. He realized that he had made a mistake. Although with his help, Naruto's current strength is much stronger than when he graduated in the original book. He originally thought that Naruto could easily graduate from the ninja school with his own strength. But he forgot one thing. This kid is Naruto, who is praised as the unexpected #1 in the original book. Obviously, it is an ordinary thing, but because of his strange brain circuit and unexpected personality, an accident will happen, resulting in him being the same as in the original book. Failed to pass the graduation examination. It seems that some things are destined to happen. Shianayu thought so in his heart, and then he whispered something in Naruto's ear. Later, Shianayu received a notice from the Anbu, summoning him to the Hokage's office to accept a mission. So Shianayu went home and changed into the Anbu's clothes, then turned into a black shadow and jumped towards the office of the 3rd Hokage under the Hokage rock. Naruto, on the other hand, was sitting alone on the swing at the school gate, swinging around boredly, and seemed to be thinking about something in his heart. Naruto-kun. At this time, a voice suddenly came, and a figure blocked his way. Naruto looked up and found that the person standing in front of him was Mizuki, the teacher in the school. At this time, he was looking at him with a smile on his face. Mr. Mizuki. Naruto responded, with a very obvious look of surprise on his face. He was not surprised why Mr. Mizuki suddenly came to him at this time, but was surprised that Mr. Mizuki really came to him at this time, as Mr. Shianayu said. So, is it just like what Shianayu said? There is hope for me to graduate from the ninja school. Chapter 103, Strange Master-Disciple Mode. After Shianayu came out of the Hokage's office, he went straight home. As soon as he entered the house, he heard a quarrel coming from inside. Don't drink it secretly anymore. This is the tea I made for my brother. If you drink it secretly again, you have to drink it all. Shianayu put her hands on her hips and held the teapot she used to make tea tightly behind her. What does it matter? Shianayu has drunk it before. What's wrong with drinking less? Besides, little girl, I am still your teacher, do you understand? Do you understand the phrase respect teachers? So when you have something good, shouldn't you give it to me first? Tsunade said carelessly to Tiantian with a nonchalant look on her face. No way. Tiantian was unmoved. You don't know how to taste tea at all. It's a waste to give you the tea I brewed for several hours. Tisk, if the tea you brewed didn't taste really good, I wouldn't drink this bland leaf water. Tsunade rolled her eyes and complained, If it weren't for your brother threatening to kick me out of here if I got drunk again, otherwise, I would have gone to the tavern to drink, who would have stared at your brewed tea. When talking about wine, Tsunade obviously stuck out her tongue and licked her lips, and the action looked a bit sexy. She hadn't drunk for a few days, and she was indeed a little itchy in her heart. What a fragrant smell sniff. Tsunade's nose twitched a few times, and then she seemed to be hooked out of her soul. She closed her eyes, as if she was intoxicated, focusing all her senses on her sense of smell, and then walked in the direction of the fragrance. Boom. Tsunade felt a squeeze on her chest, as if she had suddenly bumped into something. Tsunade opened her eyes, and then saw Tianyu's handsome face. The air was instantly quiet for a few seconds, and then Tsunade took a half step back. Both of them had a bit of embarrassment on their faces. Tiantian stood not far behind, watching this scene, and gritted his teeth in anger. Master Tsunade, this old witch, must have done it on purpose just now. She really has ideas about her brother. Humph, she really wants to be an old cow eating young grass. You walk without opening your eyes. It was Tianyu who broke the awkward atmosphere first, and said with a bit of weirdness in his tone, if you walk like this again next time, I will lie on the ground and blackmail you for medical expenses. Tsunade was a person who had seen the world after all, and she quickly regained her composure. She straightened her body proudly, with a bit of arrogance in her eyes. You're a grown man, and you can be hurt by me? It's a blessing for you to be hit by me. Humph, you didn't suffer any loss anyway. Tianyu raised his eyebrows. You think you are right to hurt people with your chest? Ahem. Tsunade couldn't help blushing at this time, and then quickly changed the subject. I just smelled the aroma of wine, and was a little obsessed for a while. Tell me, did you come back with some wine? Yes. Tianyu raised his hand, holding 2 bottles of fine chakra in his hand. You are a good boy. You guessed that I want to drink. I haven't gone out to drink recently, but I am really craving for it. Come on, come in and have a few drinks with me. Tsunade hugged Tianyu, and walked into the house with a good brotherly look. Brother. Tiantian called out dissatisfiedly. She had brewed the sencha for several hours by herself, and her brother hadn't even drunk a sip. How could he go to drink with Tsunade? Tianyu gave Tiantian a look, and Tiantian, who was originally dissatisfied, immediately calmed down. Without absolute trust and obedience, it is absolutely impossible to reach this level. Tianyu smiled and walked to Tiantian, put the 2 bottles of chakra in his hand aside, and then picked up a cup of sencha and tasted it carefully. It tasted good. You can taste that Tiantian really put in a lot of effort. The tea brewed with mountain spring water tastes different, and there is a special sweetness in it. At this time, Tianyu smiled at Tsunade. Tsunade, don't be anxious, it's not the time to drink yet. Huh? Tsunade asked with a frown, blurting out, does drinking have to be done at different times? Of course. Tianyu said with a smile in his eyes, when you are in different moods, the experience of drinking is different. Tsunade nodded, and she agreed with Tianyu's point of view. It is precisely because Tianyu has some unique insights into wine that Tsunade likes to drink with Tianyu very much. These days, she has been living in Tianyu's house, and she is Tiantian's master. After a period of getting along, she has become more familiar with Tiantian and Tianyu, the brother and sister. The more familiar she is, the more she likes this brother and sister. Tianyu, needless to say, is a handsome boy with strong strength. Although he is still very young, he always considers things as carefully and maturely as an adult. As for his sister Tiantian, she is just like an ordinary little girl. However, Tsunade agreed to accept Tiantian as her apprentice not just for Tianyu's sake. After getting to know her for a while, she felt that this little girl Tiantian was very much to her liking. She was very serious and hard-working, with a straightforward and sincere personality, and liked to speak her mind. Tiantian and Tsunade, who bickered and quarreled with each other every day, formed a strange mode of getting along between master and apprentice. Although Tiantian was always rude to Tsunade, she was actually very serious and respected Tsunade in learning ninjutsu. So, when can we drink? Tsunade raised her eyebrows and asked Tianyu curiously. Of course, when we are very happy. Tianyu showed a bright smile on his face. Tonight, there's something very interesting. If you have nothing to do, come and help me. I promise that this scene will be very interesting. Tsunade's face showed a thoughtful look. After a few seconds, she tentatively guessed, is it about the kid of the 9 tails? Although Tsunade has not been in Konoha for many years, she still has a very high political sensitivity. As the granddaughter of the first generation of Hokage, she grew up in the political circle of Konoha. If it is not the invasion of enemy ninjas, then it must be something as important as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki that can make Tianyu, the captain of the Anbu, participate. It is not difficult for Tsunade to guess this aspect. Tianyu nodded, with a mysterious smile on his face, but, it's not just the nine-tailed fox by the way, I'll tell you the details later. Didn't I promise to give you a gift before? Take a look at the weapon I made for you first to see if it's suitable. A white light flashed in Tianyu's hand, and then a delicate and small box appeared in his palm. Box. Tsunade's tone was full of unstoppable surprise. Although she had seen many strange ninja tools used by Tianyu before, she was still a little surprised when he really took out a box. This thing can also be used as a weapon? Do you want me to throw it out and kill the enemy in battle? Can't you see, this is a packaging box. Thinking that it was a gift after all, Tianyu specially found a delicate small box to put it in order to look more solemn. Unexpectedly, Tsunade misunderstood that this box was a gift for her. Forget it, I'd better give up the packaging next time. Exquisite gifts don't exist at all. Chapter 104 Feather Chain. Tianyu was full of black lines on his head, and said to Tsunade helplessly, the weapons are in the box. Tsunade opened the box, and there were 18 golden metal feathers inside. Is this a weapon? This doesn't look as reliable as the box just now. At least I can throw that box as a hidden weapon to kill the enemy. What use can these metal feathers have? Tsunade said with a bit of weirdness in her expression. Tianyu smiled but didn't say anything. He just quietly took out something like a leather glove, put the 18 golden feathers in the interlayer of the leather glove, and then put the leather glove on Tsunade's left hand. What is this? Tsunade's confusion became more serious. She had never seen a person who could use feathers as weapons. This looked too weird. Try it. Tianyu smiled, holding Tsunade's wrist, and swung his left hand towards the open space in front of her. He swung it forward in the air, and a golden feather chain appeared in Tsunade's hand. She almost didn't use any strength, and easily cut her wooden stake 5 meters away from her into 2 neat halves. It's so sharp. Is this a whip? There is chakra flowing on it? This whip can also attach my chakra. Tsunade was surprised. This is more than just a whip. Tianyu said with a smile, and then shook the hand holding Tsunade's wrist again, and the feather chain was decomposed into 18 golden feathers, flying out like darts, and instantly shot through several empty wooden boxes 10 meters away in the yard. In Tsunade's extremely surprised eyes, suddenly, those feathers were like boomerangs in the air, and after turning half a circle, they actually flew back, reforming a feather chain and returning to Tsunade's hand. This is chakra thread. Isn't this a trick that only ninjas who know puppetry can use? I can actually use it too. Tsunade's eyes were filled with disbelief. She looked at Tianyu with a bit of surprise, because this weapon looked so weird. Well, I added metal materials that can attach chakra to the original materials. Theoretically, when you inject your own chakra into this weapon, it will automatically form chakra threads in this weapon, and control these 18 metal feathers to become a feather chain. Tianyu explained with a smile. Oh my god. Tsunade couldn't help but screamed, such a wonderful design, how did you come up with it? I've never seen anyone use such a strange weapon. How did you come up with it? Of course, it was the blueprint given by the system. Although this feather chain is very delicate and unpredictable, it can often rely on its weird changes in battle to cause unexpected attack effects to the enemy, making it hard for the opponent to defend. However, Tianyu already had many kinds of hidden weapons, and this weapon was very sharp, but it was not the best in terms of overall lethality. It was just an ordinary weapon for Tianyu, but it was very meaningful to Tsunade. Tianyu gave this feather chain as a gift to Tsunade for another very important reason. He did not explain it directly to Tsunade, but chose to let Tsunade actually operate it. He released a white rabbit that was usually used for experiments from the cage in the yard. The moment the white rabbit was released from the cage, it fled in panic. Try to attach the chakra condensed from your chakra scalpel to this feather chain. Tianyu looked at Tsunade and said, Tsunade's eyes were a little confused, but she still followed what Tianyu said just now and attached her green chakra condensed into chakra scalpel to this feather chain. The feather chain was thrown out by Tsunade, and the golden feather seemed to be locked in the trajectory, flying from different directions towards the direction where the rabbit fled in the distance. Sizzle. There seemed to be several invisible threads in the air, passing through the space around the white rabbit in midair. The rabbit was fixed in midair like a puppet, and its whole body was twitching slightly. 3 seconds later, the rabbit was instantly cut into several pieces, and the head, forelimbs, hind legs, tail. Each joint flew out in different directions and fell on the ground in the distance, and the rabbit lost its breath of life in the blink of an eye. Ah! Tiantian was frightened and quickly covered her eyes. She had seen murder before, but killing a little rabbit in such a cruel way. Tiantian still felt it was cruel. Tsunade had already foreseen all this happening a second before the rabbit was torn into pieces, so she also closed her eyes in advance. She suffered from hemophobia. Even seeing the blood of a rabbit would make her feel scared. Open your eyes, believe me, you won't be scared. Tianyu smiled and patted Tsunade's shoulder, with a kind of enchanting magic in his tone. Although Tsunade was afraid of blood in her heart, she still opened her eyes as Tianyu said. Then, her pupils suddenly shrank in her beautiful eyes, and her eyes widened in disbelief. There is no blood. The dead rabbit just now was torn into pieces, like a torn doll, and scattered on the ground. Tsunade originally thought that with such a cruel effect, the blood of the rabbit would definitely splash in the air and even spray on her body, but everything in front of her was completely different from what she imagined. All the places where the rabbit was cut off, there were only a little bit of bright red marks, but no large amount of blood gushed out. This was completely inconsistent with Tsunade's previous cognition. What did she do just now to achieve such an effect with this weapon? As if he saw the doubt in Tsunade's eyes, Tianyu explained to her with a smile, the biggest advantage of this weapon is that it is sharp. Very sharp. Now your operation is still very unfamiliar, so the cutting effect is relatively rough. And as you use the chakra scalpel ninjutsu in this feather chain to get better and better, the cutting effect will become more and more refined when you face the enemy. After your practice, you can swing the chain to cut, and the best effect is that the enemy's head will fall off the neck after half a minute, and at that time you will have enough time to leave the battle scene, and naturally you won't see any blood. Tianyu's eyes were full of pride. He looked at the feather chain he had made, and then asked Tsunade, how about this weapon I made for you, which can not only prevent your hemophobia, but also enhance your combat effectiveness? Do you like it? I like it. Tsunade lowered her head, and the bangs on both sides of her forehead hung down, blocking her eyes, making it impossible to see her expression. However, Tiantian noticed that her master Tsunade's long, slender jade fingers had nails deeply embedded in the flesh. She seemed to be trying her best to control her emotions. Tsunade turned around quickly, raised her head and strode towards the house where she lived in the distance, leaving Tianyu and Tiantian in the yard with her back. I like this gift very much. You must call me for the good show tonight. Hehe. Tsunade pretended to shout loudly, and then walked into her room without looking back. At an angle that Tianyu and Tiantian could not see, a crystal tear fell from the air. Tsunade's mouth corners always had a smile that she herself did not notice. Tisk. She is Princess Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha. She didn't want others to find out that she couldn't help crying because of the little brat Tianyu. Chapter 105 Stealing the Sealed Book. At the same time, in Konoha village, in the base of the Shimura clan, with a bang, a table in front of Shimura Danzo was instantly smashed into powder under his palm. Now, Shimura Danzo is in extreme anger. Sarutobi, that guy, really doesn't take me seriously anymore. Does he think that everything will go as he wishes if he disbands the root organization in my hands? For so many years, if I hadn't been protecting the safety of Konoha behind the scenes, maybe he, the Hokage, would have been killed by someone. At this time, an old man walked into the house. The person who dared to walk in when Shimura Danzo, the head of the Shimura clan, was furious must be a very respected person in the clan. This old man was the great elder of the Shimura clan, Shimura Iga, who had completely lost to Tianyu in the gambling house. In terms of relationship, he is still Danzo's uncle. He glanced at the sawdust on the ground, then looked at Danzo and asked, Danzo, what happened? I heard from my clan members that you were so angry after you came back from the Hokage's office. Danzo's face was as gloomy as water, and he roared angrily, that bastard Sarutobi didn't listen to my advice, and insisted on taking this opportunity to let that fox demon boy see the seal scroll? What if the fox demon goes berserk again? What if he really learns the forbidden techniques and the seal? He actually told me that he believes in that fox demon boy? He is crazy. What? Shimura Eagle's pupils shrank. Did he really say that? Can I lie to you? Shimura Danzo's face became even uglier, and he said in a gloomy voice, I asked to see the seal scroll before, but he refused every time. Now he actually took it out to show a 12-year-old kid? Can he understand it? Besides, he also said that he sent out the Anbu ninja to ensure that everything will be foolproof tonight. Humph, if the Nine Tails really goes berserk, what's the use of an Anbu? Our entire village will be buried with him. The air was silent for a few seconds, and then, the great elder Jiangquan's eyes flashed with a gleam, and he pondered, Danzo, since the sealing scroll will fall into the hands of that fox demon boy tonight, does that mean that we also have a chance? Jiangquan didn't finish his words, but Shimura Danzo had already grasped the essence of his words, and his tone suddenly rose. You mean, we also send people to grab the sealing scroll? The forces are mixed tonight, which is a great opportunity for us to get close to the sealing scroll. Whether the sealing scroll falls into the hands of that fox demon boy or Mizuki, it is not a threat to us at all. But, speaking of the excitement, Danzo's eyes suddenly dimmed a little. Sarutobi's Anbu will also get involved, which is really a big trouble for us. If I still have a root organization under my command, I can still compete with it. But since the root was ordered to disband, I am afraid that the number of people under my command is not enough. I will support you. At this time, the great elder Jiangquan stood up resolutely. Over the years, I have used the money in my hand to recruit a lot of ninjas under my command. This time I will allocate them all to you to help you fight for the sealing scroll today. Really, really. Danzo's eyes lit up, and his heart couldn't stop beating. If I can get the sealing scroll, my strength will definitely reach a higher level, and I will have the capital to compete with Sarutobi Hirozen for the position of Hokage. At that time, the status of our Shimura clan in the village will also rise accordingly. Great Elder, you are so far-sighted. Ho-ha-ho-ha, Chief Danzo, don't be too happy too soon. Lending you manpower is not a problem, but I have a request. Great Elder, please speak. You have to take advantage of the chaos tonight to help me kill someone. Jiangquan's eyes showed a fierce and murderous light. Cutting off someone's financial resources is like killing their parents. Jiangquan's hatred for this person has already become irreconcilable in the previous confrontations. Who is it? Danzo asked curiously. I have found out that this person is the current captain of the second assassination unit in the Anbu, codenamed Mingayu, and his real name is Tianyu. Late at night, a bright moon hangs high in the sky, and in the silent forest, a figure is constantly shuttling back and forth. This person is Naruto in orange sportswear. Behind him, there is a huge scroll, which is the Book of Seals that he stole easily. At this time, in the Hokage's office, third generation, it's bad, the Book of Seals was stolen by Naruto. A Chunin discovered the movement of the Book of Seals while patrolling in the village, so he hurried to the Hokage's office to report the matter to the Hokage. Well, I understand. The third Hokage Sarutobi Hirozen just silently picked up the pipe in his hand and took a puff of the cigarette. Then he looked at Naruto, who was running all the way in the crystal ball. His expression was very calm, as if there was not much surprise. Sure enough, this child was still bewitched by Mizuki and went to steal the Book of Seals. The third Hokage sighed silently. Third Hokage, please order us to hunt down Naruto. Such a serious matter must not be treated as a prank. His behavior has already fallen into the category of treason. The ninja said indignantly. Just send 20 people from the Chunin and Jinan units to bring Naruto back. Be careful not to hurt him. Just take back the Book of Seals. The third Hokage exhaled a puff of white smoke from his pipe and said slowly. Why? Third Hokage? Just stealing the Book of Seals is enough to put him in jail. The ninja said puzzledly. I have my own arrangements for this matter. Sarutobi Hirozen closed his eyes and stopped talking. Yes, Lord Sandaime. The ninja took his leave, and then, according to the orders of the Sandaime, he summoned a group of Chunins including Iruka, Mizuki, and other Jinan, and began to search for Uzumaki Naruto in the forest. After the ninja took his leave, the Sandaime slowly opened his eyes and looked at Naruto in the crystal ball. Naruto had already found a secluded place in the forest, hiding behind a big tree, and began to read the Book of Seals. Sarutobi Hirozen sat in the office and muttered to himself, Minato. I'm sorry, I can only do this much? I hope Naruto can learn a multiple shadow clone technique, which is worth the big risk I took and the opportunity to learn it for him. What Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't notice was that Naruto in the crystal ball only glanced at the front multiple shadow clone technique, the ninjutsu, and didn't even stay for an extra second, and his eyes were already looking at the next ninjutsu. He was still muttering to himself, multiple shadow clone jutsu? Such a simple ninjutsu is also written in the sealed scroll? Brother Tianyu taught me this ninjutsu a long time ago. It is really not difficult at all. I can't waste time now. I have to look at the next one. Darkness walking jutsu? Illusion? Cause a visual closure effect? Brother Tianyu seems to have some ninja tool that can produce the same effect as this ninjutsu. And it seems to be a little more powerful than this illusion. And I don't like to learn illusions. Next. Flying Thunder God Jutsu? It seems to have something to do with the ninja tool used. This one seems good. By the way, the ninjutsu that Brother Tianyu mentioned before seems to be this name. Well, then I will memorize this ninjutsu wholeheartedly, and copy it to Brother Tianyu after I get it. He will definitely praise me. After flipping through the scroll for a long time, Naruto finally found the ninjutsu called Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Then he began to rack his brains to memorize the records about this ninjutsu, word for word. Although memorizing is a very painful thing for Naruto in the ninja school, this is something that elder brother Tianyu has personally instructed him to do, so Naruto is particularly concerned about it. So now, even if he is memorizing the complicated principle of the Flying Thunder God technique, Naruto's efficiency is surprisingly amazing. Chapter 106, Mantis Catches Cicada. In the forest, Naruto was concentrating on memorizing the contents of the sealed scroll. Suddenly, he noticed that the moonlight in front of him was shrouded by a shadow, blocking his sight. Naruto, what are you doing here? Iruka suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, panting and questioning loudly. Teacher Iruka, why are you here? I'm learning the ninjutsu in the sealed book. Teacher Iruka, is it true that I can graduate from the ninja school after practicing well? Naruto said excitedly. The sealed book? Graduation. Iruka was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly asked, you mean, Mizuki told you all this? Yes, it was teacher Mizuki who told me. This graduation method and the location of the book were all told to me by teacher Mizuki. Naruto said with an innocent and carefree look. Hey, according to the instructions of Brother Tianyu, as long as he gives up teacher Mizuki, everything will be fine, right? Even Iruka was fooled by Naruto's carefree appearance, and didn't realize that this kid actually had a dark side. If Tianyu was at the scene at this time, I'm afraid he couldn't help but give Naruto a thumbs up for his acting skills. At this time, Iruka's face changed drastically after listening to Naruto's words. Suddenly, the sound of shuriken breaking through the air came from behind Iruka. Iruka shouted loudly, oh no, it's Mizuki. Naruto, go. At this time, Iruka resolutely stood in front of Naruto and endured all the shuriken attacks. Teacher Iruka. Naruto's face was full of shock and anger. Iruka, just for such a nine-tailed monster, do you think it's worth it? He killed your parents. In fact, you hate him as much as I do, right? Mizuki smiled sinisterly. No, he is not a monster. That guy, in my heart, he is my most diligent and outstanding student. Iruka pulled out the shuriken in his body and said with gritted teeth. Everything happened just as in the original novel. Although Iruka's parents died in the Nine Tails calamity, Iruka did not hold this hatred against Naruto like other people in the village. Instead, he always regarded Naruto as his excellent student and believed that he would become a Hokage in the future. Although Naruto had already heard the whole process of this incident from Tianyu, he was still deeply moved when he heard Iruka's teacher's feelings in person. He did not expect that in addition to Tianyu's elder brother, Iruka's teacher had always cared about him. So, Naruto, who was burning with fighting spirit, not only saved Iruka's teacher, but also performed the multiple shadow clone technique, beating Mizuki violently and beating him half to death. On the Hokage rock not far away, Tianyu stood on the rock statue of the successive Hokages, followed by dozens of Anbu ninjas who were neatly dressed in Anbu clothes and wearing animal masks on their faces. This was the second assassination unit of Konoha under Tianyu's command. The former captain of Konoha's second assassination unit, Tenzao, was promoted to the current head of the Anbu. The reason, of course, is that Kakashi, as the head of the Anbu, took the initiative to apply to the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen to lead the graduates as a mentor. Although Naruto did not pass the graduation exam, He will definitely graduate from the ninja school under Sarutobi Hirozen's arrangement. As the son of Minato, Kakashi must apply to become his mentor. Moreover, the scheduled group also includes the only survivor of the clan in the village, now the Uchiha clan. Due to his deterbido and the origin of the Sharingan, he is the only one in the whole village who can serve as the mentor of Uchiha Sasuke. Of course, Sarutobi Hirozen also readily agreed to this. At this time, Tianyu, as the captain of Konoha's second assassination unit, led his ninjas to carry out the mission tonight. Captain, everything is going according to plan. The Nine-Tails kid is in a very stable mood, and it seems that there is no risk of him going berserk. Captain Mingayu, can we go back then? I still have an assassination mission to complete, and I don't have the time to stay here and watch such a heartwarming and touching drama. That's right, there are so many assassinations outside, and seeing this kind of scene for a while really gives people goosebumps. Tianyu squinted his eyes, glanced at the people behind him, and then slowly squinted his eyes and said, "Why are you in such a hurry? Do you think I brought you here to monitor Naruto to prevent the Nine-Tails from going berserk as the Hokage ordered? No, isn't it?" Anbu Ninja asked stutteringly. "This is indeed the task that the Hokage gave us." Tianyu raised his eyebrows and chuckled. "If the Nine-Tails really goes berserk, who of you can deal with it? Tanuki? Or Flying Fish? With your strength, you can almost fill the gaps in the Nine-Tails' teeth." This. Under the masks of the Anbu ninjas, they all sucked in a breath of cold air through their teeth, remembering that a few years ago, when the Nine-Tailed Fox was causing trouble, those seniors who were stronger than them were killed in just one encounter with the Nine-Tailed Fox. Their current strength is really not enough. Thinking of this, their faces turned red under their masks. Then, "Captain, why are we running here in the middle of the night to blow the cold wind?" As the captain of the Anbu team, Yuzuki Yugeo, codenamed Purple, mustered up the courage and asked Tianyu. Tianyu raised his chin and signaled to everyone, "Look down, they're here." Everyone was stunned and quickly looked towards the forest below. At this time, the perception team and the Anbu who was responsible for perception suddenly said loudly, "Report to the captain." 200 meters to the southeast. A group of unidentified teams with 4 people were found, and they are rapidly approaching the target mission Uzumaki Naruto. Report to the captain. 250 meters to the northeast. A group of unidentified teams with 4 people were found, and they are rapidly approaching the target mission Uzumaki Naruto. Report to the captain. 300 meters to the southwest. A group of unidentified teams with 4 people were found, and they are rapidly approaching the target mission Uzumaki Naruto. Enemy attack? The moment the perception ninja reported the news, the ninjas in the Anbu became nervous. "Captain Mingayu, let me lead the team to the southeast to intercept the enemy." "Captain Mingayu, I apply to lead the team to the northeast to intercept the enemy." "Then I apply to lead the team to the southwest to intercept the enemy." The captains of the Anbu took the initiative to apply to Tianyu to go into battle and intercept the enemy. At this time, Tianyu raised his right hand calmly, signaling his men to be quiet and obey his orders. He said with a faint smile, "Don't be in a hurry, let's see what these people are going to do first." Hearing this, the ninjas of the Anbu all showed puzzled eyes. The enemy has taken the initiative to besiege their target, this time Uzumaki Naruto. Why is the captain not in a hurry? According to their previous handling methods, shouldn't they attack immediately and strangle the enemy's plans in the cradle, defeat them, and then quickly capture them to the interrogation department for interrogation? Sitting and waiting for death has never been the style of the Anbu. Tianyu did not intend to explain to them. He was not in a hurry to take action because he already knew who the enemy was. If he didn't let the other party show a little flaw, how could he catch the other party's handle? Isn't there a saying like that? The mantis stalks the cicada, and the oriole is behind. Chapter 107 Relationships. Who are you? In this forest, a ninja with the strength of a chunin received a notice from the Hokage tonight and was transferred to perform a mission to find a kid named Uzumaki Naruto in the village and retrieve the stolen seal book. Although he didn't know why the Hokage would only send him, a chunin ninja, to perform such an important task. However, he knew the kid named Uzumaki Naruto, who was not even able to graduate from the ninja school. I think this should be just a simple search mission, right? Just as he was thinking this, he suddenly found that he was surrounded by several ninjas wearing masks and black clothes. Sensing the other party's ill intentions, he immediately questioned them loudly, "Who are you? How dare you be in the village?" Before he finished speaking, He was knocked unconscious by the masked men with a bang and fell to the ground. How stupid, you can actually ask such an idiotic question. One of them sneered and walked towards the Chunin, who was lying on the ground with a kunai in his hand. Just knock him out. Don't harm his life. The master has told us to keep a low profile. Our goal is the Book of Seals, said another person. The man holding the kunai seemed to stop reluctantly. After putting away the kunai, he said lightly, "Got it." Then, the masked men jumped to another place in the forest and knocked out another ninja with the strength of a Chunin, who fell to the ground. Master Mangayu. The Chunin and Jinan team sent by the Hokage to search for Uzumaki Naruto have all been knocked out by the other side. Why don't we take action now? An Anbu captain finally couldn't help but ask Tianyu. He said with a bit of anxiety in his tone. Before Tianyu could say anything, a ninja with a cat face mask who had been standing next to the captain since tonight and whom they had never seen before, spoke in a bad tone and scolded him directly. "What are you asking? Didn't you hear the captain's order just now? Obeying the orders of superiors is the first rule of Anbu ninjas, don't you remember? Now you even dare to question the orders of the leader? Do you still want to be an Anbu? If you don't want to stay, get out of here immediately, so that you don't stand here and get in the way, making people angry. I really don't know how you guys were selected into the Anbu. Each generation is worse than the previous one." The scolded ninja was speechless. He had been in the Anbu for several years and was now the captain of an Anbu team. He was a little dissatisfied with Mangayu, who was only 13 years old but had become the new captain of the Anbu and his immediate superior. Being scolded in public like this, he knew he was in the wrong, so his old face under the mask suddenly turned red. He was so ashamed that he even wanted to find a hole to hide. The other ninjas in the Anbu instantly focused their eyes on the person who just scolded, and their eyes under the mask showed confusion. This person, who is he? Several Anbu captains exchanged glances with each other, and then they found the same confusion in each other's eyes as themselves. Not someone in my team, not someone in my team. Then, who is this person? He dared to point at a captain-level figure in the Anbu team and scold him. Too fierce, right? Ahem, she is my newly recruited guard. Tianyu explained in time, and everyone's faces showed a look of sudden enlightenment, and they immediately understood why the female guard dared to be so arrogant. It turned out that she was a relative who joined the Anbu because of the relationship with Captain Mangayu. That's enough. Tianyu whispered to Tsunade. If she caused any more trouble, her identity would be exposed immediately. Tsunade had agreed with him before that she would just come to join in the fun and act as a thug. After all, Tsunade had left Konoha for many years. It was more or less inconvenient for her to intervene in such things, even involving the Nine Tails. Okay, got it. Tsunade's tough voice suddenly softened. At this time, she looked a little more obedient. After shutting up obediently, she stood quietly behind Tianyu. And her behavior has further strengthened the affirmation of her relative identity in the hearts of the Anbu members under Tianyu. What's the situation down there now? At this time, Tianyu suddenly asked the perception ninja behind him. The perception ninja immediately reported, "Report to Lord Mangayu, they have knocked out Iruka and Naruto, and snatched the Book of Seals, and are now fleeing in the southwest direction at 7 o'clock. Yes, I see." Tianyu nodded, then glanced at the people behind him from a high position, and ordered, "Everyone listen. Yes. Follow my guards immediately, go to the southwest, eliminate the enemies, and take back the Book of Seals." Everyone was stunned for a moment, and under the masks raised one by one, there was disbelief in their eyes. With eyes that were so astonished that they could not be more shocked, they went back and forth between Captain Mangayu and the guard. This must be more than just a relationship, right? This is definitely a naked PY transaction. And Tsunade was obviously stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that Tianyu would ask her to lead the Anbu to snatch the Book of Seals at this time. "What about you? Where are you going?" Tsunade asked. Tianyu stretched out his hand, and a small gray mouse lay quietly in his palm. In the dark night, if Tsunade had not known about it, she would not have been able to tell that it was an extremely exquisite mechanical mouse. Every time Tsunade saw the powerful perception of this kind of ninja tool, she could not help but marvel at it. Although she already had the tracking bow and feather chain given to her by Tianyu, she could not help but covet it every time she saw Tianyu take out various ninja tools. Each one is a priceless good thing. At this time, Tianyu had received the information passed back to him by the mechanical mouse. Things were a little different from what he had expected before, so he had to temporarily adjust his battle plan and hand over the task of leading the recapture of the sealed book to Tsunade. I'll leave this to you. I have something else to do. I'll explain it to you later. Tianyu turned around, jumped, and ran away at a high speed. Before everyone could react, he had turned into a black shadow and disappeared in the distance. In mid-air where no one could see, Tianyu had a sneer on his face and a mocking look in his eyes. This is really interesting. These people actually wanted to steal my house while I was away. Chapter 108, Broken Defense. In the pitch-black night, three powerful ninjas wearing masks whose identities could not be seen were approaching Tianyu's home quickly. Is it this way? Yes, hurry up, Master Danzo has told us to be fast. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the black shadows quickly jumped over the roofs of Konoha's commercial street. Their destination was Tianyu's home. They were the remaining ninjas of the route, and they were Danzo's direct subordinates. Tonight, they received an order to capture two ordinary people who were not ninjas, the owners of the ninja tool shop, Tianyu's parents. This night was destined to be an eventful night. Konoha tonight was destined to be restless. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the sound of breaking through the air was heard. In this gloomy night, several kunai flashing with cold light, with a murderous intention, attacked the three root Jonin. No, enemy attack. Although it was a dark night, the dark kunai was hard to detect under the cover of darkness, but as a Jonin, the ninja of the root could still judge what was going on from the subtle sound of breaking through the air. With a ding sound, the leading ninja of the root knocked down the kunai that attacked him. Turning his head, he wanted to tell his companions to be careful, but, with a poof, the kunai that he had originally hit turned around and stabbed his shoulder mercilessly. This is, what's going on? The Jonin of the root was a little terrified. He clearly hit the kunai that attacked him. How could it be? At the same time, the two companions beside him also made dull groans from their throats one after another. His companions were also stabbed by kunai. There's something strange, be careful. The three ninjas of the root quickly squeezed together back to back, and each of them patrolled one side, checking for the next move of the person who attacked them. Hey, are the root ninjas so powerless in the face of such a situation? A slightly childish voice sounded in their ears. The root ninjas were nervous and extremely alert. Who? How? A hearty laugh sounded in the ears of the root ninjas, and then a figure appeared in front of them. The boy looked very casual. Facing the three of them, he didn't even make any preparations for battle. If I don't take the initiative to show up, can't you even sense where I am? The people of the root are really useless. The boy shook his head and sighed, as if he was very disappointed with him and the root ninjas. Seeing the enemy appear, the three root ninjas didn't take any action for a while. As hunters, they seemed to have become prey. The kunai just now was really weird, and the boy was too powerful. Facing the three of them who took the initiative to come out, they didn't make any defensive moves. They shouldn't move. I don't know what you are talking about. Why did you hurt someone? Oh? You don't know. The boy laughed, a little crazy. If you want to attack my family, you must be prepared. As soon as the voice fell, the boy burst out with extremely powerful chakra. Water breathing, formed 5 rain of mercy from the sky. The figure of the boy appeared in front of them in an instant, the azure blade shone, and the cool and warm water droplets splashed down. The root's Jonin hurriedly performed the instant body technique to pull away. He stretched out his hand and wiped off the cool and warm water droplets that had splashed on his face. He took a look in front of his eyes, and his hand was extremely bloody. The liquid that splashed on his face before was not only water droplets, but also the blood of his teammates. You the leader of this mission, the root's Jonin, was a little scared. Because he saw that a root ninja who had defended back to back with him before did not dodge. The root Jonin who didn't dodge fell to the ground, but his head fell a few meters away. Taking a deep breath, the leading root Jonin tried to tone down his tone. Your Excellency has misunderstood. We have no grudges against you. We don't even know you. How could we attack your family? At this moment, the root Jonin made a decision. You can't force it, you have to be patient first. Captain, we. Another root ninja wanted to say something, but as soon as he opened his mouth with a stutter, the leading root Jonin glared at him fiercely, signaling him to shut up. You have no grudges against me. The boy laughed again. Are all the root people so hypocritical now? The boy shook his hand violently, and the sun blade in his hand shook off the warm liquid on the sword. "We are all from Konoha. I will give you a chance to live." The boy paused. "Tell me, where's Danzo now?" Tianyu's chakra suddenly rose to a higher level, and he exuded an undeniable momentum. Through the mechanical mouse, he sensed that someone wanted to attack his parents, so he hurried over. Before he came, Tianyu guessed that the attacker was probably from the root. But he was not completely sure. By talking to these root ninjas, Tianyu wanted to hear the news from them to judge whether his previous guess was correct. The leading root Jonin took a deep breath to calm himself down and not be overwhelmed by Tianyu's momentum. At this time, of course, he could not follow Tianyu's words, and he could not expose his identity and mission. He could only continue to play dumb. "Sir, you really misunderstood. I really don't understand what you are saying." In the deep dark night, the blue sword light shone again. The blue water droplets and the bloody red blood drops were so mismatched, but under the cover of the dark night, they mixed together and splashed in the air. The leading root Jonin died. He raised his hand and swung the sword, once again shaking off the stains on the sunwheel sword. Tianyu turned his head and stared at the last Jonin in the three-man root team. I the only surviving root Jonin met Tianyu's gaze, his legs trembled, and he was about to lose his balance. "Jonin, the three of them are all Jonin. 3-1. His two companions disappeared in 2 encounters. In his eyes, Tianyu in front of him was not a human at all, but a monster. A monster more terrifying than the Nine Tails. The Jonin was killed instantly without any chance of fighting back. "Is this something a human can do?" Exclamation mark. The boy in front of him, "No, this monster is too terrifying. I'll tell you everything. Don't kill me. They were both root ninjas before, but I am not a root ninja." Tianyu's decisive and fierce attack completely broke the defense of this root ninja. Between the mission and the fear of death, he made a choice, and he chose the latter without hesitation. He said loudly to Tianyu, "If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 109 Personal Action. Danzo-sama is in the old root base about 5 miles to the west. You are right. The target of the order given to us by Danzo-sama is your parents. The only surviving ninja hurriedly said. "Please spare my life." Hearing this, a smile appeared on Tianyu's lips. "It's really Danzo." Tianyu looked at the root Jonin and praised him. "You are good, you are quite smart." Seeing that Tianyu seemed to be in a good mood, the root ninja was overjoyed. Then, "Sir." Before he spoke, Tianyu came to his side without knowing when. Suddenly, the root Jonin felt that his side was rising and spinning. You can't kill me, but I." The ninja's eyes became extremely terrified, and he shouted loudly, but before he finished speaking, the blue water of the sunwheel sword rose again. Tianyu separated the head of the person in front of him. "Tell the location of Danzo and let him go?" Tianyu sneered. This group of people targeted his family. How could Tianyu let this group of enemies go? Danzo. The old base of the root. Tianyu muttered softly, and was thinking about what to do next. The mechanical mouse in Tianyu's hand suddenly sent back a piece of information. There were nearly 20 people approaching him quickly. A few minutes ago, the old base of the root. Danzo summoned the remaining ninjas, plus some people supported by Shimura Iga. He was waiting for the opportunity here, ready to pick up the people who took the seal book. But man proposes, God disposes. Not long after the team he sent to kidnap Tianyu's parents set off, there was an extremely powerful chakra explosion nearby. Danzo knew that kidnapping Tianyu's parents was a failure. It should be Tianyu who rushed back. Danzo gritted his teeth. He didn't understand how Tianyu knew that Shimura Danzo was going to kidnap his parents, but now was not the time to think about it. Since Tengo has come back, the strength of the Anbu ninjas sent by Saratobi Hirozen to chase the Book of Seals will be reduced by half, and the Book of Seals should be safe. Danzo judged in his heart that Tsunade was incorporated into the Anbu team by Tengo. As for kidnapping Tengo's parents and wanting to use Tengo's parents to hold Tengo hostage, to be honest, this action has been exposed. For Danzo, it is best for him to stop immediately, so as not to expose more of his flaws. Since he failed, Danzo, who is seeking safety, does not want to take any more actions. However, in the ninja team sent to kidnap Tengo's parents, there is a person that Shimura Danzo must save. That is Shimura Iga's biological son. Tengo won almost half of his father's money, and he himself was broken his arm by Tsunade and Tengo's sister Tenten at the training ground. The hatred of father and son combined, he absolutely cannot bear this breath. When Danzo heard that Danzo had issued this mission, Shimura Iga's own son actively signed up and must join the operation of kidnapping Shionyu's parents, saying that he wanted to take revenge himself. Shimura Danzo had no choice but to lend Shimura Iga to others, and he couldn't refuse the request of Shimura Iga's own son. So he incorporated him into the team that kidnapped Shionyu's parents and made him the leader of this operation. Just now, the extremely powerful chakra that erupted not far away. The only possibility that Danzo could think of was that Shionyu somehow knew that they were going to attack his parents and rush back. If Danzo didn't go to rescue him, Shimura Iga would definitely settle accounts with him afterwards. It is even possible that he would self-destruct in front of Sarutobi Hirozen, and at the same time drag him, Shimura Danzo, into the water. Shimura Danzo sighed in the old base of the route. People. He must be saved. Everyone, get ready to act. Shimura Danzo shouted at the remaining root ninjas gathered in the Nishino barbecue restaurant. Then, they got up and rushed to where Tianyu was. It was impossible to hold Tianyu hostage with Tianyu's parents. And they had to send people to rescue Shimura Iga's son. Since it had come to this, they might as well go out and kill Tianyu in person. Shimura Danzo showed a fierce smile at the corner of his mouth. It would not be a loss for Shimura Danzo to directly wipe out Tianyu. After all, he had received news from Akatsuki a few days ago. If he helped Akatsuki to kill Tianyu, Akatsuki promised to help him do something that could be equivalent to destroying the Uchiha clan. The speed of ninjas is very fast, not to mention that the distance between the two sides is only 5 kilometers, which can be said to be very close. It would not take much time to rush over. Shimura Danzo is very fast, but Tianyu's actions are even faster. Facing the 3 Jonin teams of the route, Shionyu's acted decisively. He used his special kunai to injure 3 people at the first encounter, and then killed 2 of them in a few words, which broke the defense of the last one and confirmed that they were from the route, from Danzo. When Danzo arrived at the scene, the bodies of the 3 Jonin of the route were already cold. Danzo was furious when he saw Shionyu and the bodies under Shionyu's feet. So many people came, do you think too highly of me? On the roof, Shionyu said to the root ninjas under his feet with a smile. Are you here to rescue? Or are you here to kill me? If it's to rescue, then I can only tell you with regret, you are too late. Facing more than 20 enemies, Shionyu didn't seem to be nervous at all. After a pause, Shionyu continued to laugh and said, is that old guy Danzo here? After saying that, Shionyu deliberately repeated loudly, Danzo, Shimura Danzo, are you among these people? Are you here to kill me? The clear voice echoed continuously in the night sky. You know, this is not the wilderness, this is Konoha. Shionyu's voice was heard by thousands of Konoha residents. After this voice, the people of the route were instantly stunned. Big Captain, what should we do? When operating in Konoha, Danzo also wore a mask. When operating outside, the route ninjas under his command naturally could not call him Danzo and could not reveal his name. You should disperse and hide first, don't be discovered by the residents of Konoha, I will deal with him. Danzo, wearing a mask, gave an order to everyone, then jumped onto the roof and attacked Shionyu. Wind style, shuriken. Several chakras infused with wind attribute, which became extremely sharp and could cut through iron like mud, were thrown out from Danzo's hand and went straight to Shionyu's neck. Ding ding. Shionyu took out the Kusanagi sword and deflected the extremely sharp kunai. Tisk, even though it is infused with wind attribute chakra, your ninja tool is still crude. Let me show you what a real ninja tool is. Swish, 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 deflecting the kunai fired by Shimura Danzo, Shionyu threw the kunai with tracking attribute that had previously injured 3 root Jonin. Chapter 110, Amaji vs Danzo. Several kunai fell out of Tianyu's hand and attacked Danzo instantly. Ding ding ding. Danzo held the kunai blessed by wind attribute chakra and knocked them off one by one. Your ninja tool is nothing big. When Danzo was thinking this in his mind, a slight breeze blew behind his ears. Not good. The reason why Shimura Danzo could sit in the position of Konoha's high level for a long time was not entirely due to his strategy. He was also very strong. After all, he was a disciple of the second-generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, and he was a strong man who followed Senju Tobirama on the battlefield and survived with a third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen of Konoha. The Kyune that he missed turned around and attacked him again. At the critical moment, Danzo still sensed the danger. Turning around quickly, Danzo blocked the Kyune that attacked again one by one, and his movements were very swift. The Kyune thrown by Tianyu turned around again and continued to stab Danzo, as if it would not stop until it hit the target. Danzo was secretly shocked. How could this Kyune be so weird? For a moment, he, a strong man who survived the First Ninja World War, was entangled by several Kyune. At the same time, Tianyu was not idle. Danzo, why did you gather so many people? You know that the Book of Seals was stolen. Are you gathering so many people to help Konoha recover the Book of Seals? The thief fled to the south. Why did you come here to attack me? Tianyu shouted loudly, and his voice seemed to be heard throughout Konoha. Hearing Tianyu's shouting, Danzo's face turned black. He couldn't let Tianyu shout like this. But the Kyune was still chasing him. Gritting his teeth, Danzo made a decision. Ding, ding, ding. The ear-splitting sound of the golden sword rang out, and Danzo knocked down Tianyu's strange tracking Kyune at the cost of 2 more scratches on his arm. The strange Kyune finally stopped moving. Looking at the frivolous Tianyu in front of him, Danzo wanted to tear him into pieces. This kid deserves a beating. Danzo wanted to attack Tianyu with his sharp words, such as the vicious words that made Konoha White Fang hang himself, but he couldn't do that. After Tianyu's deafening shouts, many people in Konoha must have noticed them here. If Danzo spoke, he would reveal more of his flaws. What needs to be done now is not to let this hateful kid speak. Before the Konoha residents who noticed this place come over, Danzo must kill Tianyu quickly. Wind escape, vacuum blade. After knocking down the annoying tracking Kyune, Danzo made seals with his hands and shouted in a low voice. Suddenly, the Kyune in his hand was wrapped in a high concentration of chakra and turned into a sharp blade. With the instant body technique activated, Danzo suddenly appeared beside Tianyu, raised the Kyune in his hand, and slashed towards Tianyu as fast as thunder. Water breathing, second form, water wheel. Danzo's attack was easily blocked by Tianyu. Danzo was in a hurry, and he had to kill Tianyu in the shortest time. Therefore, Danzo couldn't be sorry for the consumption of chakra. After missing the first attack, Danzo used the instant body technique to distance himself, and continued to make seals with both hands, wind style, vacuum jade. Several wind balls came out of his mouth one after another. While the wind balls were still in the air, Danzo used the instant body technique again to rush to Tianyu's side, and attack Tianyu with a vacuum blade. Danzo's speed was very fast. With a vacuum jade activated, he rushed to Tianyu's side to attack him. He was not afraid that the vacuum jade he used would hide him. I can only say that Danzo Shimura did not sit in the top position of Konoha for no reason. Danzo Shimura is really strong. Danzo is very strong, Tianyu admits. But Danzo is only as strong as Kakuzu at most. And Kakuzu was defeated by Tianyu. And Kakuzu has 5 hearts. How many hearts do you Danzo have? How many times can you die? Oh, you have an armful of Sharingan, that's fine. Then you are indeed as strong as Kakuzu. But, so what? Exclamation mark. As early as when facing the 3 Rujonins, Tianyu had already opened the 8 gates of ninja. Danzo is strong, but Tianyu is stronger. Water breathing, 3 forms, flowing and dancing. After opening the 8 gates of ninja, Tianyu's speed is very fast. With a blessing of water breathing, the speed is even higher. The blue water splashed everywhere in a breath, and Tianyu's figure also appeared everywhere. Bang, bang, bang. The high-pressure concentrated wind-style vacuum jades of Danzo were easily chopped off by the sun blade in Tianyu's hand. The high-pressure wind ball was broken, and the strong wind breath scattered from the original place. Tianyu's actions had not stopped yet. Without being affected by the strong wind breath, Tianyu chopped towards Shimura Danzo beside him. Chi-chi-chi-chi-chi, the sharp Kyune blade in Danzo's hand, which was blessed by the wind-style ninjutsu, met with a sharp sun blade. The extremely piercing sound of the golden swords clashing lingered for a long time, as if it would tear the eardrum. This attack still missed. Danzo's strength was not bad, and he was not hit by Tianyu's attack. After another instant, Danzo immediately launched the next attack. The sharp chakra blade at the end of the kunai was raised all over the roof, but the water splashed and caused ripples in the deep night. The figures of the two flashed back and forth on this wide roof. In a short period of time, the two fought more than 10 times. Danzo is very strong, and Tengo is even stronger. But the fight between the two was not long, so neither could do anything to the other, and no one was injured during the fight. The night was long, and Danzo clenched his fists. This couldn't go on. He didn't have much time to stay here. Tengo, Danzo must kill him. But he couldn't do anything to Tengo. This kid's strength was too abnormal. I really don't know how this kid practiced. Everyone listen to my orders. Use fire escape and wind escape. Focus fire on the enemy. On the roof, Danzo shouted loudly. He was giving orders to the root members who followed him and hid under his orders. Shimura Danzo, couldn't do anything to Tengo alone, so he sent a group of people. Danzo sneered. He didn't believe that a group of people would not be able to take down Tengo. Yes. The root ninjas hiding in the dark followed the order and began to make hand seals one by one. Fire style, Fang Balsam Chlor Red. Fire style, Fire Dragon Technique. Fire style, Haoyan Hua. Wind style, Send Wind. Wind style, Vacuum Great Ball. Ninjutsu after ninjutsu came from all directions. When wind style ninjutsu met fire style ninjutsu, the wind helped the fire. The flames became even more fierce. About 20 ninjas performed ninjutsu together. The scene was very grand. The already powerful fire style ninjutsu was combined with many other ninjutsu under the blessing of wind style ninjutsu. The overwhelming flames illuminated the night. Above Tianyu, a large area of flames bit at him like a sea of fire. About 20 ninjas released ninjutsu together. This sea of fire was so huge that it could cover the street where Tianyu was. Such a large area seemed to be impossible to hide. And Danzo sneered. He was not worried that he would be affected by the ninjutsu of his men. After all, his arm of Sharingan was not transplanted for nothing. Danzo Shimura looked at Tianyu with cold eyes, which seemed to be sneering. He wanted to find fear and surprise on Tianyu's face. But he was disappointed. Facing the sea of fire, Tianyu didn't look panicked at all, but chuckled. He transferred the sun blade to his left hand and pulled out another weapon from the stored ring. It was a knife. A knife that looked plain and unpretentious. The sea of fire descended, and the distance to Tianyu was getting closer and closer. But Tianyu was still not in a hurry. He raised the plain and unpretentious knife and pointed it directly at the endless sea of fire in the sky. Tianyu opened his lips slightly. Sit upright on the frosty sky. Chapter 111 Big Red Lotus Iron Pill. This is. Danzo's eyes showed a bit of astonishment. He knew very well how much damage the ninjutsu used by his ninjas would cause in the village. The fluctuations caused by the raging flames in the air and the range of these ninjutsu attacks were already terrifying. The scorching heat could burn people to ashes. But when Tianyu swung the knife, Shimura Danzo's heart jumped suddenly, and a very ominous premonition suddenly came to his mind. He hurriedly shouted, "Quick! Retreat quickly!" Huh? Retreat. After hearing the command of Danzo, many root ninjas who were releasing ninjutsu paused, and before they could react, they saw that the fire escape ninjutsu they released, which was high enough to melt even steel, was blocked by the ice escape released at the same time as the opponent swung the knife. How is this possible? Exclamation mark. The root ninjas who were releasing ninjutsu all widened their eyes in an instant, with an expression of disbelief on their faces, blurting out, "How is this possible?" The atmosphere in the air suddenly became quiet, and the whole world seemed to be frozen by this ice escape in an instant. Because this matter has completely exceeded the theoretical knowledge of the ninja world that they had learned in the ninja school before. In their cognition, fire escape can restrain ice escape. But in front of the extreme ice escape, even the fire escape released by these ninjas together, the attribute restraint effect caused by it has become directly negligible. This is the Great Red Lotus Ice Wheel Pill in Tianyu's hand. The ice escape formed by highly condensing water vapor in the air has a density of more than 100 times that of ordinary ice, enough to reach the level of the previous black ice. You are only at this level. Holding the Great Red Lotus Ice Wheel Pill in his hand, he felt the surging power in his body. A pair of huge crystal wings completely condensed from ice and snow slowly unfolded behind Tianyu. At this moment, he flew into the air under the flapping of his huge wings. He looked down at the root people led by Danzo, and for a moment he was like a god who was about to judge the sins. Tianyu smiled at the chunin in front of him. Then this game will end here. It has been a while since he created the Great Red Lotus Hyorinmaru. Although he has always had the strength to practice and develop this Zanpakuto, he has almost never used it in actual combat. Today is the moment for his sword to show its edge. Buzz! A white frost quickly overflowed from the tip of the blade and instantly condensed into a white ice mist, instantly covering the area within a radius of 100 meters. Those root ninjas who were still releasing ninjutsu didn't even have time to interrupt their ninjutsu before they felt a piercing coldness coming towards them. Hiss! After seeing this scene, Shimura Danzo took a breath of cold air, with fear and terror in his eyes. What is this? Ice escape ninjutsu? Danzo Shimura, who was hiding behind the root ninjas, speculated in his heart. Why does Tianyu know this ninjutsu? Isn't this a ninjutsu that only people in the land of water or the land of snow on the edge of the distant continent can know? The strength of the Great Red Lotus Hyorinmaru that Tianyu showed immediately caused an uproar in Danzo Shimura's heart. However, Danzo had no time to think about so many things at this time, because in his eyes, the area within 100 meters around him had turned into a world of ice and snow. Wherever the ice fog reached, the entire space was covered by a light blue ice surface. And those men who stood in front of him, one by one, had no time to dodge, and were covered by the ice fog and directly frozen into an ice sculpture. In the middle of the night, a breeze blew over, blowing the ice sculpture down and falling to the ground, breaking into several pieces. Except for him, all his men were wiped out by the opponent's move. At this moment, all the thoughts in Danzo's mind were reduced to one word: escape. However, Danzo turned and ran away with all his strength. Suddenly, he felt a piercing coldness coming from the ground under his feet, which made his feet suddenly numb. His whole body slowed down involuntarily, as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Before Danzo finished speaking, the frost under his feet had already climbed onto his body, gradually freezing his entire body into an ice sculpture. He still stood in the air in a running posture. Ling. In the distance, a kunai shot out from Tianyu's hand and accurately pierced the back of Danzo, who was frozen into an ice sculpture. The tip of the kunai was inserted into the ice sculpture, and then cracks began to spread from the direction of the kunai piercing toward the limbs. Crack! The ice sculpture turned into a pile of broken ice and fell down from the air bit by bit. Dead? Tianyu narrowed his eyes and walked to the place where Danzo was just now. Then, in his sight, the ice sculptures with Danzo's body on the ground disappeared in front of his eyes like magic. It was an illusion. Tianyu thought of it in an instant. In addition to the Sharingan that Tianyu had snatched away on the night of the genocide, Danzo must have had Sharingan collected from other places in his hands before, which he transplanted to the arm with the cells of the first generation of Hokage. And just now, he used the illusion of Izanagi. The function of Izanagi's illusion is to record the state of the caster with the Sharingan at the moment of its activation, and then within the effective time of the technique, any damage suffered by the caster, even including the death of the caster, can be physically restored to the state recorded by the Sharingan. The price is that the eye of Izanagi will lose sight forever. The cost of this illusion is so high that it has long been listed as a forbidden technique in the Uchiha clan. Although the number of Sharingan in Danzo's hands is far less than that in the original book, he still chose to pay the price of a Sharingan to escape from here before the threat of death. He, after all, is just an annoying rat. Tianyu's eyes showed a bit of disgust, and then he put away his Dahonglian Hyorinwan. Although tonight, the old man Danzo escaped from his hands, it was not convenient for him to chase him now. However, what happened tonight was not so easy to end here. The fox's tail has been exposed, so how can we not beat him with a stick? Tianyu looked at the Hokage rock in the distance, and the Hokage's office was still brightly lit at this time. There was a bit of expectation in the smile on his face. I'm afraid that the old man Sarutobi Hirozen's office is now in a mess, right? Chapter 112. What a terrible woman. Hey, old man, I'm telling you, this matter can never be let go like this. Humph, if I hadn't been here tonight, I'm afraid the Book of Sealing would have really been stolen by someone else. These people are from the Root and Shimura clans. I didn't expect that they would also set their sights on the Book of Sealing, and even knocked out the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. Hey, old man, are you suffering from Alzheimer's or are you deaf? Hurry up and say something. With a bang, Tsunade's palm slammed on the desk in front of Sarutobi Hirozen. The sound was deafening, and almost made Sarutobi Hiruzen faint. Well, so scary. What a scary woman. Kak, the Anbu people standing behind Tsunade, that is, the members of Konoha's second assassination squad under Amaji, all had such thoughts in their minds at the same time, and cold sweat ran down their backs. Just now, half an hour ago, in their eyes, this new relative who entered the Anbu with the help of their captain. In the battle, the overwhelming power burst out, causing the Anbu ninjas, who were originally evenly matched and difficult to win, to instantly form a reverse pressure, and the battle ended in just a few minutes. In the surprised and unbelievable eyes of the enemies and Anbu ninjas, the relative was like a god descending, bursting out with unstoppable strength. An arrow shot the enemy's head, a punch smashed the enemy's ribs, and a feather chain killed people invisibly in the black. It was like a ruthless killing machine walking in the world. The ninjas of the Anbu swallowed their saliva together. In the impression of these Anbu ninjas, I am afraid that in the entire Anbu, except for their current captain Mingayu, no one can surpass him, not even the current Anbu captain Tenzo. Such strength is definitely a top existence even in the entire Konoha village. And such a person is actually just the guard beside their captain Mingayu? The strength of this guard is really too hardcore. Until the end of the battle, the ninjas of the Anbu had not recovered from the shock just now. Then they all ran straight to the office of the Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen under the leadership of Tsunade. At this time, in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade took off her mask and showed her face in front of the Anbu ninjas. And the ninjas of the Anbu also saw the previous scene. Tsunade, one of the three ninjas, was going crazy in front of the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. At this time, the doubts that had accumulated in their hearts for a long time were finally solved. No wonder, I said, how could such a powerful ninja appear in the village for no reason? And as the most well-informed Anbu ninjas, how could they not have heard of any news? It turned out that this person was Tsunade, one of the three ninjas. Then it was absolutely understandable that she showed such strength just now. I heard before that Tsunade, one of the three ninjas of Konoha, had recently returned to Konoha village. I didn't expect to meet such a powerful ninja under such circumstances. The Anbu ninjas were relieved. Then there is no problem. There is no problem. Falling, who can explain, as one of the three ninjas of Konoha, why did Tsunade appear next to their captain Mingayu? Exclamation mark. Why did she become the personal bodyguard of Captain Mingayu? Exclamation mark. And was she regarded as a relative who got in through the back door? If Princess Tsunade, who dared to lose her temper even in front of the Hokage, knew what they were thinking just now, wouldn't she be severely punished? Exclamation mark. For a moment, the ninjas in the Anbu were about to cry in their hearts, Captain Mingayu. Why didn't you tell us about this kind of thing earlier? At this time, these people in the Anbu suddenly thought, to let Tsunade, one of the three ninjas, be their Captain Mingayu. What kind of person is he? Ahem. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff of the pipe in his hand, white smoke came out of his mouth, and his brows were twisted together. He had already made arrangements for everything tonight, and thought that everything would go perfectly according to his plan. But he didn't expect that there would be a lot of problems in reality, far beyond his previous expectations. Even Tsunade appeared in his office now. Things suddenly became tricky. Tsunade, don't worry. I will definitely investigate this matter thoroughly and give you an explanation. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his head to look at the ninja from the Anbu beside him and asked, are the results of the interrogation department out? The ninja from the Anbu replied to Sarutobi Hiruzen respectfully, reporting to Lord Hokage, the results of the interrogation department are out. Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and nodded, call Ibiki over. Yes, Lord Hokage. After a while, Marino Ibiki, who had a scar on his face and was wearing a black windbreaker, walked into the Hokage's office and reported, Hokage, the intelligence has been interrogated. I have confirmed the identities of those who stole the sealed book tonight. Most of them were indeed members of the root organization before, but their tongues were sealed, so it is impossible to get more information from them. There are still some people left whose identities are unknown. By searching their memories, it can be determined that they were all exiled ninjas in the Land of Fire before. In the past few years, there have been close financial transactions with the people of the Shimura clan. At this point, the context of what happened in the village tonight can basically be said to be very clear. It is related to Shimura Danzo and the Shimura clan behind him. Hey, old man, what are you still hesitating about? This must be the trick of Shimura Danzo behind the scenes. Tsunade put her hands on her hips, her beautiful face was furrowed with brows, and she shouted loudly. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, but still comforted Tsunade. Since this matter may be related to the Shimura clan, I will at least call Shimura Danzo to the office and ask about this matter clearly. Tsunade, don't worry, I will definitely investigate this matter thoroughly. Humph. Tsunade snorted coldly. Even though the person standing in front of her was her Sarutobi teacher, who was also the current third Hokage, but with Tsunade's temper, she still didn't give him any good face. Chapter 113 Confrontation. Facing the changes that happened tonight, countless thoughts suddenly emerged in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mind. However, there was still no change in his expression. He had been in a high position for many years and had long been able to hide his true thoughts deep in his heart. In the silent night, the lights that had been extinguished were lit one by one. The entire Hokage's office was brightly lit and full of people. Tsunade led the ninjas of the second assassination unit of the Anbu and stood in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Behind them were the sealed books they brought back and the bodies of the enemies. Before this matter was resolved, they would not leave for the time being. Sarutobi, you are looking for me. When everything was silent, the door of the office was pushed open. As soon as he entered the door, Shimura Danzo asked coldly, with a slightly unfriendly tone. If you look closely, you will find that his face is a little pale, there is a layer of sweat on his forehead, and even his steps are a little weak. Although he had used Izanami to dodge the last fatal ice escape ninjutsu attack when fighting with Tianyu, the sword energy contained in the ice escape still caused some serious damage to his body. When he left the battlefield and returned to the clan, he met the ninja of the Anbu, who summoned him here. At this time, as soon as he entered the door, he saw the huge scroll on the back of the Anbu ninja. His face became extremely ugly in an instant. What happened? He had already used the strategy of luring the tiger away from the mountain to transfer Tianyu away. Why did the root under his command still fail to snatch the seal book? Trash. It's just a bunch of trash. A trace of resentment flashed in Shimura Danzo's eyes. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen also questioned him. Danzo, do you know about what happened tonight? Tonight? What happened? Danzo snorted coldly. With a bang, Tsunade slapped the table again and stood up directly from the chair. With a bit of fierceness in her eyes, she asked directly, Hey, old man, don't play dumb here. Tonight, I personally dealt with those who stole the Book of Seals. The ninjas in the interrogation department have already tortured out information. Those people are the roots of your men and the Shimura clan. How do you explain this matter? The moment Shimura Danzo saw the Book of Seals just now, he had guessed that his plan tonight had completely failed. So when facing Tsunade's questioning at this time, there was not much change on his face. It's just that he really can't figure out why he met Tsunade when he sent his men to steal the Book of Seals tonight. Is it really just a coincidence? There must be something fishy about this, but Danzo doesn't have much time to think about it now. Facing Tsunade's questioning and Sarutobi Hiruzen's scrutinizing eyes, Shimura Danzo's eyes were cold, but there was no sign of retreat. I don't know what happened. What do I need to explain to you? Do you have clear evidence in your hands to prove that I was behind them to instruct them to do this? Tsunade, I will forgive you for slandering me in public this time because you are the granddaughter of the first generation. But young people, it is better not to be so youthful and impetuous. I have to admit that the old ones are the wisest, especially for someone like Danzo Shimura who was originally in the upper echelons of Konoha. It is really hard to find any handle on his shirking of responsibility and his words. Tsunade was furious. If this was not on the Hokage's office, she wanted to beat up the old bastard. Seeing his hypocritical face, Tsunade couldn't help but feel sick. When she chose to leave Konoha, a large part of it was because she felt that after her great-grandfather and second-grandfather died, the upper echelons of Konoha were controlled by a group of guys who had no strength but were very good at playing political games, which made her feel that there was no point in staying in Konoha. If she hadn't met that little kid Tianyu who made her feel a little interesting, she would not have bothered to come back to see these old guys. Tsunade sneered with a hint of sneer at the corner of her mouth, and said sarcastically, Haha, Danzo, who doesn't know that the root was established by you and it's full of your people? Moreover, among that group of people, there are people from the Shimura clan. As the head of the Shimura clan, you don't want to tell me that these things have nothing to do with you, right? But Tsunade still seemed a little immature when facing Danzo Shimura, but this level of explanation had no effect on Danzo, who was as thick-skinned as a city wall. Danzo Shimura looked cold and said with a smile, "Of course this has something to do with me. Although the root organization was disbanded at the request of Sarutobi a few years ago, they were all my subordinates after all. And as the head of the Shimura clan, people from our clan were involved in this kind of thing, so of course I must investigate this matter thoroughly. Maybe someone is interfering and wants to sow discord between Sarutobi and me?" Sarutobi Hiruzen put the pipe in his hand into his mouth and took a deep puff. He had been silent all the time, and the expression on his face had not changed. The dispute between Tsunade and Danzo just now was also within his expectations. After all the information they obtained came from the information obtained by the interrogation department. All the evidence can only show that these are related to the Shimura clan, but there is no definite evidence to prove that Danzo planned all this behind the scenes. Moreover, what Danzo said was not completely unreasonable in Sarutobi Hiruzen's opinion. After all, Danzo was still a member of the Konoha senior elders. If someone really framed all this, and wanted to sow discord between him and Danzo? At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally spoke. He glanced at Danzo who was standing in front of him, and asked slowly, "Danzo, since you are going to investigate this matter, do you have any ideas for the time being?" After hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen asked, the expression on Shimura Danzo's face eased a lot. Sure enough, Sarutobi was still as hesitant as he had learned over the years. A barely noticeable smile appeared at the corner of Danzo's mouth, and then he said to everyone, "There is no need to investigate this matter anymore, because I already know who is the mastermind behind this matter." What? In an instant, everyone in the room was shocked. Chapter 114 Betrayal. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked Shimura Danzo, "Do you know the person behind the scenes? Who is it?" Everyone in the room set their eyes on Shimura Danzo. At this time, Shimura Danzo said in a deep voice, "It is the great elder of our clan, Shimura Iga." What? As soon as this was said, everyone in the room was extremely shocked. Whether it was Sarutobi Hiruzen, Tsunade, or the ninjas of the Anbu, they all knew the great elder of the Shimura clan very well. Even if they had no contact, they had heard a little about his deeds in the past. When he was young, he also had the strength of a Jonin, which should not be underestimated. It was only later that he encountered an enemy ambush during a mission and suffered almost fatal injuries. He was lucky to escape from the enemy. In that battle, his heart veins were almost cut off. Even if he recovered, he could no longer continue to go out on missions as a ninja, so he began to move to the mall. He is also a very smart businessman. He has shown a very outstanding talent in business. For so many years, he has been running the family business and managing the family's financial expenditures in the Shimura clan. The financial level behind him is not to be underestimated. Sarutobi Hiruzen narrowed his eyes and asked, "Danzo, you say that, do you have any evidence?" "I have." Danzo nodded. His eyes were very deep, and people couldn't tell what he was thinking. Although Shimura Danzo also knew that this was not a good move, the most urgent thing was that he must be removed from this night's incident. Sacrificing the cart to save the king is the most common trick used by those who play politics. As long as he is still in the Konoha elders, everything will be preserved and there will be no worries about firewood. He will always have a chance to slowly settle the previous accounts. "How do you have these things?" Sarutobi Hiruzen asked with some suspicion. "I noticed something was wrong with Jiangchuan before, but I didn't expect him to dare to take the Book of Seals. This is some information I have collected recently about Jiangchuan secretly cultivating his own power." "Sarutobi, take a look." Shimura Danzo put on a righteous look, and handed the information he had prepared to Sarutobi without changing his expression. Sarutobi Hiruzen held a pipe in his mouth and quickly scanned the contents of the information. His brows furrowed, and his expression gradually became cold. The things that Shimura Jiangchuan did behind his back were even worse than he had imagined. By colluding with a casino and making a lot of money, and then secretly using his own financial resources, he secretly cultivated power in the village and even in the land of fire. No matter which village it was, this was a taboo for the cage. More seriously, it would not be an exaggeration to say that he had the intention of treason. Such behavior was simply challenging his authority as the Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen put down the information in his hand, and ordered his Anbu with a cold look, "Bring Shimura Iga here." A barely perceptible killing intent flashed in Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. Soon, under the leadership of the Anbu, Shimura Iga, who was a few years older than Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, was brought to the Hokage's office. "Hokage-sama, I heard you summoned me." Shimura Egal saw so many people standing in the Hokage's office in the middle of the night, and he immediately had a bad premonition. Of course, he also knew a little about tonight's plan, and even his son personally participated in tonight's operation and said that he must get rid of Tianyu. He looked around and saw many Anbu ninjas present, but there was no figure of the boy named Tianyu, codenamed Mingayu. Did the operation tonight succeed? While he was guessing in his heart, he saw Shimura Danzo, also standing in the house. He felt relieved immediately. If the clan leader was there, everything should be fine, right? However, just as he was thinking this in his heart, Danzo, who was standing not far away, walked up with big strides. There was no sign at all. Even Shimura Egal's face was still smiling. When he was about to shout the word clan leader, slap, an extremely loud slap was slapped on Shimura Egal's face without mercy. Great Elder. The face of our Shimura clan is almost lost by you. Shimura Danzo put on a heartbroken expression and said bitterly, if it weren't for the conclusive evidence, I really didn't expect you to do such a thing. Ah. What's wrong with me? Egal covered his face with his hands, not even caring about the pain. His eyes were completely in a daze, and he was dazed by the slap. Don't you admit it? Take a look for yourself. Danzo narrowed his eyes and threw the information to Jiangchuan. Jiangchuan quickly caught it and looked at it. Then he felt cold all over, and cold sweat broke out from his forehead. The more he read the information, the more frightened he felt, especially now that he was standing in front of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Cultivating power privately is definitely a taboo for the Hokage. In just a few minutes, Jiangchuan's clothes on his back were completely soaked with cold sweat. Hokage, I am. Jiangchuan, whose face was as pale as paper, raised his head and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, hesitating, but didn't know how to explain for a while. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and said in a deep voice, Egal, we have known each other for so many years. If Danzo hadn't told me the truth, I really wouldn't have thought that you would do such a thing. If you were just selfishly cultivating power, I would still be willing to listen to your explanation, but I really didn't expect that you would steal the book of seals. Such behavior is enough to put you in jail and spend the rest of your life in jail. Boom! Exclamation mark. Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, like a thunder, exploded above Shimura Egal's head. At this moment, Shimura Egal, who was struck by lightning, widened his eyes and looked in the direction of Shimura Danzo with an incredible look on his face. He never thought that the person who betrayed him was actually his clan leader Shimura Danzo. At this moment, everything went through his mind again, and he finally understood what was going on. What happened tonight must have been exposed, so this bastard wanted to put all the blame on himself. No wonder Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Hokage, knew that I was using the money in my hands to secretly build up power. Besides being the one who leaked the information, how could he know so much about this matter? Chapter 115, Crazy Blame. No, it's not me, it's not me. Shimura Egal roared. He turned his head and stared at Danzo fiercely. His eyes seemed to have flames of hatred burning fiercely. Danzo, since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. You. Alice. Shimura Danzo suddenly sighed. He shook his head at Shimura Egal, with a look of regret on his face, interrupting the words he was about to say. Grand Elder, I am so sad. If your grandson Shimura Shimokawa knew what you did, how could he hold his head up in the Shimura clan in the future? How would the people of Konoha see him? What? Shimura Egal was stunned, and Danzo continued to say with great sorrow, Shimokawa fell asleep in my house today. How can I explain this matter to Shimokawa when I go back? Shimura Egal was stunned in the spot as if struck by lightning. Shimokawa? Why is his grandson Shimura Shimokawa in Danzo's house at this time? Question mark? Shimura Shimokawa is actually in Danzo's hands. Danzo, he actually kidnapped my grandson. He actually kidnapped my grandson just to threaten me at this time. Thinking of this, Shimura Egal's eyes turned red and his eyes were about to burst. Grand Elder, why did you steal the Book of Seals? What is your intention? The street in the northwest of the village just erupted with a powerful chakra, and the whole street has turned into a sea of fire. Did you do this too? By the way, where's your son? Why didn't your son come with you? Before Shimura Egal could react, Shimura Danzo had already turned his head to look at Sarutobi Hiruzen and asked directly, Sarutobi, the Anbu people just went to the Grand Elder's house. Did they see his son Shimura Yakawa? Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes flickered. He didn't know what Danzo was doing. But since Danzo asked this, Sarutobi Hirozen turned to ask the Anbu ninjas around him, instead of describing the appearance of Shimura Iga's biological son Shimura Yuka, and asked them whether they had seen this person at Shimura Iga's house. The Anbu ninjas answered truthfully, reporting to the Hokage, "When we went to capture Shimura Iga, he was the only one at home." Sarutobi Hirozen frowned and asked Shimura Iga sternly, "Shimura Iga, where's your son?" Shimura Iga was completely stunned. "No way, no way?" Exclamation mark. At this time, Danzo was even more anxious, trying to shift all the blame. He pointed at Shimura Iga and said loudly, "Great Elder, Konoha Commercial Street. Did you also send Shimura Yuka to it?" "Oh. Great Elder, you are confused." Shimura Danzo slammed his chest. "Northwest Street is burned down. Why did you let Shimura Yuka destroy Northwest Street? Are you trying to divert the attention of stealing the sealed book and distract the Anbu team? Or did you lose money in the casino before and want to take revenge maliciously? No matter what, you can't do this to the village." Shimura Danzo acted very distressed. Shimura Iga understood. He understood. His grandson was kidnapped by Danzo, and his own son died in Northwest Street. When the shocking news came, Shimura Iga was exhausted and pale, and he fell to the ground accidentally. You, he pointed at Shimura Danzo and wanted to say something. "Grand Elder, are you still stubborn?" But Shimura Danzo continued to attack. "Do you have to wait until the evidence is solid before giving up? You are the Grand Elder of our Shimura clan after all. Even if you don't want to plead guilty as soon as possible to save face for the Shimura clan, at least give your grandson Shimura Shimokawa some dignity." Shimura Iga gasped and stammered, but couldn't say anything. It seemed that breathing was a very difficult thing for him now. Finally, the light in his eyes went out like a candle being blown out. "Hokage-sama, I plead guilty. It was me. It was me. I did everything. I sent people to steal the Book of Seals, and I also sent people from the commercial street. The casinos on Northwest Street have defrauded me of a lot of money, and I have long disliked them. I took this opportunity to make a scene on the street. On the one hand, I can disperse the forces of the Anbu and get the Book of Seals more easily, and on the other hand, I can destroy those casinos that have defrauded people. I did it all. I did all this. I plead guilty." As he spoke, Shimura Iga's voice became smaller and smaller, and his face became paler and paler, as pale as paper. "Come on, take him down," Sarutobi Hirozen said with a dark face to the Anbu ninja beside him. "Yes." Immediately, two elite Jonin-level Anbu ninjas, one on the left and one on the right, lifted up Shimura Iga from the ground and tied him up with ropes. "Give him to the prison, and we'll decide what to do with him later." "Yes, Hokage." After receiving the order, the two Anbu ninjas turned around and went to the prison. Sarutobi. Everything was done, and before the final conclusion, Shimura Danzo called out to Sarutobi Hirozen. With a plop, Shimura Danzo knelt on one knee, with a look of grief on his face, and saluted Sarutobi Hirozen and said, "Third Hokage. Although Shimura Iga made a big mistake, he is after all the elder of our Shimura clan. Hokage, please spare Shimura Iga's life for the blood that the Shimura clan has shed for Konoha over the years." Sarutobi Hirozen narrowed his eyes, looked at the other party, and slowly called out his name, Village. Danzo. As a Hokage, he does not allow anyone to have privileges. The arrogant and domineering Uchiha clan has perished, and he can no longer sit idly by and watch another clan rise, especially under his nose and under his protection. Danzo still kept his kneeling position. He still insisted on his attitude. "I don't ask the Hokage to spare Shimura Iga. You can imprison him for life. I only ask the Hokage to spare the death of the elder for the contribution of the Shimura clan to Konoha over the years." Sarutobi Hirozen did not agree to him. "Okay, I'm tired, you all can leave." He just made a gesture to the Anbu to send guests away, then turned his back and ignored everyone. Outside the Hokage's office building, Tsunade led the Anbu ninjas and escorted Shimura Iga to the Konoha prison. At this time, Shimura Danzo let out a deep breath. He finally got away with it. Now Sarutobi Hirozen's suspicion of him should be much lower. Of course, it was not what Shimura Danzo wanted to see, asking Sarutobi Hirozen to spare Shimura Iga's life. Shimura Iga knew what he had done, and he had evidence of his crime. If anyone wanted Shimura Iga to die, it was none other than Danzo. The reason why he pleaded for him was because Shimura Danzo was trying to reduce Sarutobi Hirozen's suspicion of him. The chief elder committed a crime, and it was a normal reaction for the chief to plead for him. This not only reduced his own suspicion, but also let Shimura-iga know his attitude. Such a move could also soothe Shimura-iga's emotions. Shimura-iga's only bloodline was in the hands of Shimura Danzo, and Danzo had just pleaded for him, allowing him to escape death. Shimura-iga had no reason to betray him again. Phew. This time it was really dangerous. That kid Tianyu made both of my plans fail, damn it. Danzo's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He would not let Tianyu go. Just when Danzo was planning to take a good rest and then plan how to deal with Tianyu, there was suddenly a ray of light coming from the direction directly in front of him. The sky-high flames and crazy flames mixed with black smoke were constantly rising into the sky. Shimura Danzo was stunned for a second, and then he suddenly realized, no. The place where the fire started was the direction of their Shimura clan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Shocked Tsunade. Hurry up and put out the fire. Oh my god. How did such a big fire start? No one noticed it. No, the fire is too big. Hurry up and gather the water ninjas in the village to put out the fire. If it continues like this, I'm afraid that not only the Shimura clan's land will be burned, but also the people around will be affected. The raging flames illuminated the originally silent night. At this time, a man in a black windbreaker stood on the Hokage rock, looking down at the blazing sea of fire below. What a beautiful view, a voice of emotion. Tianyu almost blended into the night. The breeze blew his cloak in the night. It can be seen that he was in a very good mood at this time. Then he clapped his hands, flicked off the ashes on his body, jumped up, and his figure disappeared into the night. In the courtyard of Tianyu's family, Tianyu had just stepped into the door when he was hit by a pair of breasts. Why are you standing here? Tianyu asked Tsunade. Tsunade put her hands on her hips, looked at Tianyu with an unhappy face and asked, Hey, you kid, where have you been all night? Just now, I brought the Ambu people to make a big fuss at the old man Saratobi's place. I was waiting for you to come and make a fuss with me, but you disappeared without a trace. Do you know that I was really busy tonight? What was the result? Tianyu asked casually, as if he didn't care about the result of this matter at all. Tsunade sighed and said with some reluctance, We have recovered the book of sealing, and that Nine-Tails kid is fine, he was just knocked unconscious. I reported it to Saratobi-sensei, and I thought it was that old guy Danzo Shimura who was behind it, but I didn't expect that it was that old immortal Shimura-iga who was behind it. He has been imprisoned in Konoha prison by the Anbu. Shimura-iga. A sarcastic smile appeared at the corner of Tianyu's mouth. Tsunade noticed the strange look on Tianyu's face, so she asked curiously, Do you think there is something wrong with this matter? Nothing is wrong. Tianyu smiled faintly, and then explained, But your feeling just now is right. The mastermind behind this matter is indeed not Shimura-iga, but Shimura Danzo. What? Tsunade was surprised, and she stood up from the stool, grabbed Tianyu's arm, and said excitedly, Do you have any evidence of Danzo? Come with me to see Teacher Saratobi. This time I will definitely make that old man Danzo pay the price. Tianyu still had a faint expression on his face. He stretched out his hand, pressed on Tsunade's shoulder, and pushed her back to the stool. Don't be anxious, listen to me slowly. I don't have any evidence that Danzo is the mastermind behind this, so there is no need to go to Saratobi Hirozen. No evidence? Tsunade's expression dimmed a little. She frowned and asked with some doubt in her eyes, Then how do you know that Danzo is the mastermind behind what happened tonight? Because I fought with him tonight. What? Tsunade's beautiful eyes widened in surprise. Then she immediately asked with some concern, looking Tianyu up and down and asked, Hey, kid, are you injured? I'll treat you. No, Danzo is not my opponent. If it weren't for that ninjutsu, I would have dealt with him tonight. Tianyu smiled and signaled Tsunade not to worry. Which ninjutsu? Izanami. The moment she heard the name, Tsunade was so shocked that she couldn't even close her mouth. As a member of the Senju clan, Tsunade naturally knew a lot about the various ninjutsu of the Uchiha clan. She couldn't even control her voice and screamed, Isn't that the Uchiha clan's ninjutsu? How could Shimura Danzo use it? What if he stole the Uchiha clan's Sharingan? But except for the Uchiha clan, if you transplant a Sharingan, the body will definitely have a rejection reaction. As a medical ninja, Tsunade, no one knows these things better than her. So after listening to what Tianyu said, her first reaction was to deny it. Tianyu didn't care about her reaction and continued, "What if your grandfather Senju Hashirama's cells are there?" Like a thunderbolt, it exploded in Tsunade's mind. She instantly felt a huge sense of fear that enveloped her whole body, as if she had fallen into a 1,000-year-old ice cellar, making her feel cold all over. If her grandfather's cells were there, would there be a rejection reaction if the Uchiha clan's Sharingan was transplanted? The answer is no. The cells of the grandfather who has the power of wood release regeneration have the possibility of being compatible with the Uchiha clan's Sharingan in the body. But at this moment, Tsunade didn't even dare to think about this kind of thing in her mind. It was terrible. It was really terrible. This was definitely a forbidden technique level behavior. Is there really someone in Konoha who is trying this in secret? Just when Tsunade's brain was still blank because of this intense information shock, Tianyu's voice sounded in her ears again. Although you haven't been in Konoha village for many years, you should know that Orochimaru defected from Konoha more than 10 years ago. She knew that Orochimaru's forbidden technique research was such a big thing that the entire Fire Country had a very big shock, so she naturally couldn't be unaware of it. Even after she returned to Konoha this time, the only surviving kid who inherited her grandfather Senju Hashirama's wood-release ninjutsu, has now grown up and become the current Anbu minister. Just a few days ago, he came to visit her on purpose. So, Shimura Danzo really had his grandfather's cells transplanted into his body, to compensate for the rejection caused by the transplanted Sharingan. Does that mean, although Orochimaru defected from Konoha, the experiments on wood-release cells in the village have never stopped? Tianyu directly said what Tsunade didn't even dare to think about. How could this happen? Tsunade's face suddenly turned pale. She clenched Tianyu's arm and was completely panicked for a while. Then we have to tell Sarutobi teacher about this matter quickly. Sarutobi teacher will definitely not allow such a thing to happen in the village. He will definitely punish Danzo for such evil deeds. Tianyu shook his head and sighed. Tsunade, you are too naive. Do you really think that Danzo is doing such a thing behind the scenes? And the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, he doesn't know anything about it. What did you say? Tsunade's expression was as if struck by lightning, and she was completely stunned on the spot. Chapter 117 You are the real ruthless person. Tsunade's surprise seemed to have been expected by Tengo. Although the fact that I fought with Danzo tonight is not enough to prove that Danzo is the mastermind behind all the things tonight, in fact, this matter does not need to be proved. You don't think that Sarutobi Hiruzen will believe that these things tonight were controlled by Shimura Iga? You mean? Tsunade was so shocked that she was speechless. Sarutobi Hiruzen certainly knows that these things tonight were controlled by Shimura Danzo behind the scenes. All the members of the Root organization were trained by Shimura Danzo. Although the Root organization no longer exists in the village, in fact, the members of the Root organization have been acting in secret and obeying the command of Shimura Danzo. He just doesn't want to trace this matter to Shimura Danzo. So, Shimura Iga is really just a scapegoat? Tsunade said in disbelief. That's right. Tianyu nodded. The punishment for Shimura Iga is just Sarutobi Hiruzen expressing his dissatisfaction with Danzo's secret actions this time. It is just a deterrent to him. In fact, even if he knew that all this was done by Danzo, he would not really punish him. Why? I don't understand. Tsunade was a little excited. The things Tianyu told her tonight contained too much information. Sarutobi teacher knew that all this was wrong. He knew that all this was done by Danzo behind the scenes. Why did he still protect that guy? Let him mess up in Konoha. Because Sarutobi Hiruzen was too hesitant. Shimura Danzo was his old friend and his right-hand man now, so even if Sarutobi Hiruzen knew what he did behind the scenes, he couldn't bear to kill him. Tianyu gave such an explanation. In his opinion, although Sarutobi Hiruzen was the Hokage who served the longest since the establishment of Konoha, he was actually the most unsuccessful Hokage. He completely misunderstood the will of fire that Hashirama Senju upheld when he founded Konoha village. Where the leaves flutter, the fire will continue to grow. The flames will continue to illuminate the village and let new leaves sprout. The first and second Hokage spent their entire lives working for the peace of Konoha, But Sarutobi Hirozen's actions for most of his life seemed to have been the same as the previous two Hokage, pursuing peace, but his peace lacked some courage. Because he was always hesitant and indecisive, he couldn't make the right decision, which led to one regrettable thing after another in Konoha village. If he had insisted on Tsunade's idea and included medical ninjas in the ninja team, Tsunade's brother might not have died on the battlefield because of untimely treatment. If he had listened to Sarutobi and killed Orochimaru on the spot when Orochimaru was discovered doing forbidden techniques, perhaps there would be fewer wars in the world. If the person who sealed the Nine Tails with his life was not the fourth Hokage, but Sarutobi Hirozen when the Nine Tails went berserk, perhaps under the leadership of the fourth Hokage, Konoha would have been a different scene now. If he had stood up firmly to protect the Hyuga clan, which had done nothing wrong, when Hinata was abducted by the Kumo ninja and the Kumo ninja threatened the Hyuga clan to hand over Hyuga Hayashi, perhaps Hyuga Hayashi would not have been the one who was sacrificed in vain. To pursue true peace, it is not to avoid war and retreat blindly, but to adhere to your own principles and ideas of doing things. If there is an intruder, he must be killed. It is precisely because Sarutobi Hirozen has been held back by his hesitation and indecision that the interior of this village has long become a mess. The three ninjas left Konoha, the fourth Hokage died, Hyuga Hisashi committed suicide, Uchiha Itachi exterminated his clan. Each of these events, although on the surface, had little to do with Sarutobi Hirozen, it was precisely because of his incompetence that such tragedies occurred one after another. Just like now, even if he had guessed that the real murderer behind these events tonight was Danzo, he would not really trace it to that point, but after Danzo introduced a scapegoat, Shimura, he hastily learned about the matter. Damn it! How could this happen? Tsunade was so angry that she slammed the table hard, her chest heaving up and down. I really want to run to Shimura Danzo's house right now and beat that old bastard to pulp. At this time, Tsunade seemed to suddenly think of something, and then looked at Shinayu with a somewhat strange expression. So why did you leave early tonight? How did you get into a fight with Danzo? Shinayu explained truthfully, Danzo brought a group of people and rushed towards my house. I guessed that they might want to attack my family, so I intercepted them halfway in advance. Northwest Street, was it you who did it? Tsunade widened her eyes in surprise. Shimura Yangchuan, the son of Shimura, was you also killed by you? Shimura Yangchuan? I don't know him. Shinayu shook his head and said calmly, if he was among those people, he should have been killed. Tonight, except for Danzo who used Izanami to avoid my trick, everyone else is dead. Gulp. Tsunade swallowed hard, couldn't help but stretched out her hand and gave Shinayu a thumbs up. I just know now, you are the real ruthless person. Danzo met him, and it can only be said that Danzo was blind, so he got into trouble. In Tsunade's view, Shinayu in Konoha village is now a more terrifying existence than Sarutobi. But it's good that Shimura is locked up, otherwise if he knew it was you who killed his son, he would definitely not let it go. Tsunade said gloatingly, as for Danzo, find a chance to beat him up later. No need, I've already taken revenge. Shinayu smiled faintly. You, how did you take revenge? Tsunade suddenly felt a little scared. She quickly picked up the water cup on the table, drank a sip of water to calm herself down. She had a feeling that what Shinayu said next would definitely not be a trivial matter. I burned the Shimura clan. Pucci. Tsunade suddenly spit out all the water in her mouth, then stood up suddenly, jumped onto the wall, and looked in the direction of the Shimura clan. Sure enough, the flames over there were reaching the sky, and the blazing fire was enough to be seen very clearly even across most of the city. Tsunade had been busy escorting Shimura to prison, and then hurried back to Shinayu's house, and she didn't even notice that the Shimura clan had caught fire. Tsunade quickly turned around, and there was a bit of horror in her eyes when she looked at Shinayu. At this time, she finally realized one thing, that is, anyone in the whole village can be offended, but you must never offend Shinayu. He is really too scary. Chapter 118 Resignation. If you don't take revenge, you are not a gentleman. After fighting with Danzo, Shinayu would not give up without killing the old man Danzo on the spot. He knew very well that it would be fruitless to go to Sarutobi Hirozen at this time. So Shinayu chose to use his own means to let Danzo know the consequences of angering him. Didn't he want to steal the house? Then let him know what it feels like to have his house stolen. With Shinayu's strength, if he didn't want to expose his whereabouts, it would be easy to secretly light a fire. Ha ha ha. You did such a good job. Tsunade couldn't help laughing in the yard. The depression that had been suppressed in her heart all night was instantly swept away at this moment. Let's drink. Tianyu smiled and took out the chakra that he had prepared long ago. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, and then she remembered that she had agreed to drink before. She suddenly remembered that Tianyu had told her before that she should drink good wine when she was happy. Only in this way can she better taste the deliciousness of the wine. Could he have anticipated what would happen tonight? After a night, the news of the fire in the Shimura clan spread throughout Konoha the next morning. The fire burned for 3 hours, burning almost half of the Shimura clan's land. There were dozens of Shimura clan members who were seriously injured or killed, and the casualties were heavy. At the same time, the news that the Shimura clan's great elder intended to steal the sealed book was leaked from nowhere, and then it spread quickly throughout Konoha. For a time, the name of Shimura Igal became a rat crossing the street, and everyone shouted and beat him. Many people even linked Shimura Igal's incident to the burning of the Shimura clan, believing that the Shimura clan had done something wrong and was punished. For a time, the status and reputation of Shimura Danzo, the clan leader, in the village plummeted, and he was hated by the villagers. At the same time, there was another incident that caused some sensation in the village. That was that some time ago, Tianyu, who had just been promoted to the captain of the Konoha assassination force by the 3rd Hokage, chose to resign from his position. This incident also attracted the attention of many people. Who is Tianyu? At a young age, he has been promoted to the captain of the Konoha assassination force. Like a rising star, he has a bright future. As long as he works hard, it can be said that in a few years, the position of the head of the Konoha Anbu will belong to him. But at this time, he suddenly resigned and wanted to leave the Anbu. So people who are sensitive to the village's politics have begun to secretly speculate that Tianyu's departure from the Anbu may be related to the changes that happened to the Shimura clan some time ago. As for this matter, Tianyu's family members did not say anything. If Tianyu was in a high position in the village, as family members, they would certainly be happy for Tianyu. If he didn't want to continue working in the Anbu at this time, they would certainly respect his wishes. In this regard, Tianyu's family members are very open-minded. In the words of his father Tiantian, our family is so rich now. Even if Tiantian and Tianyu don't want to be ninjas anymore or go out on missions, the money in the family is enough for them to spend their lives lying down. In this regard, Tianyu can only sigh in his heart. Sure enough, this is the happiness of financial freedom. However, Tsunade, the woman, after learning that Tianyu resigned from the Anbu, looked worried, as if she vaguely guessed something, which should be related to the attitude shown by Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi teacher in the previous incident. If he trusted Sarutobi teacher, he would not have burned the Shimura clan without saying a word that night. Although Sarutobi sensei did not find any traces of the arsonists, things between smart people never need to be said openly, they already know each other. In this regard, Tsunade has a lot of things she wants to talk about with Tianyu. She lives in Tianyu's house, and the two of them see each other every day. With Tsunade's straightforward personality, she is willing to talk to Tianyu directly. Hey, kid, if you feel uncomfortable staying in the village, why don't you leave Konoha with me? Anyway, I have long hated this boring place. Tsunade looked at Tianyu with an interested expression, wiping a hidden weapon in his hand that looked like a sleeve arrow. She was obviously very interested in the plan she had just proposed. Take this kid with you to go out to gamble, and you will definitely be invincible. Isn't that more interesting than staying in this annoying Konoha? What are you thinking about? Tianyu was amused by Tsunade's thoughts. My parents and sister are in the village, and my family's business is also in the village. In the entire land of fire, is there any place more stable, more prosperous, and more suitable for doing business than Konoha village? I can't bear to leave such a place. Besides, I'm with you, so how can I leave Konoha for no reason? But Tsunade's face was a little hesitant. You also hate staying in Konoha, don't you? Tianyu was stunned. When did I say I hate Konoha? Tsunade puzzled. Huh? Isn't it? Then, why did you resign from the Anbu? Isn't the Anbu a good way to get promoted? Tianyu said lightly, I just don't want to see those old things. Out of sight, out of mind. But those old things are not worth it for me to leave Konoha, this feng shui treasure land. Tsunade naturally knew that the old things Tianyu mentioned were those people in the Konoha elders. Tsunade hesitated and said, but without the identity of the Anbu, your life in the village will not be easy, right? That guy Danzo, will definitely find an opportunity to cause trouble for you in the future. Tianyu smiled and asked, "Do you think I'm afraid of him?" Tsunade suddenly remembered that Tianyu and Danzo had fought each other before. The old man Danzo was no match for Tianyu and was almost killed by him. In terms of strength, there is no need to worry at all, but... Tsunade frowned and said, "But if this goes on for a long time, it's not a solution. If he attacks your family in secret, you can defend yourself for a while, but not for a lifetime." Tsunade's worry is not unreasonable, but there is no worry on Tianyu's face. There is a barely perceptible gleam in his eyes, and then he smiled at Tsunade calmly. "It doesn't matter, the power in the village will be reshuffled soon." Chapter 119 Leisure Time. After resigning, Tianyu's life became much more relaxed. When he applied to leave the Anbu, Sarutobi Hiruzen tried to retain him, but seeing that Tianyu had made up his mind, he did not make it too difficult and could only approve the document. Now Tianyu has become an ordinary ninja in the village again. Of course, he does not need to take the Chunin exam. When he was in the Anbu before, he was directly promoted to the village's Jonin. Tianyu, who is not short of money, does not need to go out to perform missions to make money. For a while, he has become more relaxed than ever before. During his vacation at home, he lived a very comfortable life. There are often people coming to his house. Sometimes, it is Ino who rings the doorbell. She holds a bunch of fresh flowers in her hands to replace the old flowers in Tianyu's vase. Of course, she never forgets to put a bunch of the most beautiful cosmos in full bloom at the head of Tianyu's bed. According to Ino, the fragrance of flowers can make people feel relaxed and happy, and the beauty of flowers can make people start a happy day. This little girl insisted on using this method to try to attract the attention of her male god Tianyu. Just as Ino said, Tianyu can see the bunch of blooming cosmos every day when he wakes up, which really makes Tianyu feel refreshed and relaxed every day. Beautiful things can always keep people happy, and Tianyu's mood also becomes happy. Sometimes, the person who came to Tianyu's house was Hinata Hyuga. When this cute girl saw Tianyu, she always lowered her head and ran away with a red face. Tianyu didn't know when. His sister Tiantian and Hinata Hyuga became good girlfriends who could talk about everything and were close to each other. Hinata Hyuga often came to the house and stayed with Tiantian, saying some whispers that girlfriends often say. The specific content was even unknown to Tianyu, the brother. However, Tianyu knew that Hinata's cooking skills were getting better and better. It may be that as the eldest lady of the Hyuga clan, she had no chance to cook on weekdays. The first time she asked Tiantian to teach her how to cook, she almost blew up Tianyu's kitchen. But after that, as she tried again and again, the food she made became more and more delicious. The two girls couldn't finish the food made by Hinata and Tiantian, so most of the food went into his stomach. What Tianyu didn't know was that every time Hinata saw Tianyu eating the food she made, Hinata always felt extremely happy in her heart. In order to achieve Tianyu's ideal of eating more delicious food, Hinata studied new cooking methods every day, and constantly improved the cooking recipes in her hands according to Tianyu's taste. Of course, Hinata and Ino only came to Tianyu's house in their free time. Now that they have become Jonin, they each have their own guiding Jonin. Most of the time, they still have to follow the guiding Jonin in their own ninja team to perform tasks together. The last person who often ran to Tianyu's house was Tianyu's little fan, Uzumaki Naruto. After the last incident with the sealed book, Naruto woke up from his coma, and the first thing he did was to find his elder brother Tianyu, and excitedly told him the good news that he could graduate. Then, he was very proud to share with Tianyu the ninjutsu called Flying Thunder God that he had memorized. After Tianyu knew about this, of course, he became a little interested. If there is a move that attracts him the most among so many forbidden techniques, it must be Flying Thunder God. As the only space ninjutsu that is not a bloodline limit, it was invented by the second-generation Hokage and improved by Minato Namikaze. It shined in the Third World War, allowing Minato Namikaze to win the title of Golden Flash. Even various ninja villages have issued orders that if they see Minato Namikaze, who is known as the Golden Flash, on the battlefield, they can choose to give up the mission. Such deterrence is enough to prove that Minato Namikaze's strength has reached a very terrifying level. Space ninjutsu can be said to be the most difficult of all ninjutsu attributes. It took Minato Namikaze several years to successfully improve the Flying Thunder God technique of the second Hokage. Now, Tianyu has this detailed record of the Flying Thunder God technique that Naruto memorized from the Book of Seals and that Minato Namikaze had recorded in the Book of Seals. After that, he can get a glimpse of the way of space ninjutsu. Of course, it doesn't mean that Tianyu can learn the Flying Thunder God technique with this information, otherwise Sarutobi Hiruzen, who holds the Book of Seals, would have learned the Flying Thunder God technique long ago. To learn the Flying Thunder God technique, you also need to have a high level of understanding of the space attribute. Come on, let's study this ninjutsu together. As his son, you should inherit some talent in this area, right? Tianyu pulled Naruto over and said. Although Naruto in the original work does not seem to have a talent for space ninjutsu. Naruto was stunned, his expression a little dazed, then he blurted out, "Brother Tianyu? What were you talking about just now? Do you know whose son I am? Do you know about my parents?" Tianyu nodded. "Do you want to know? If you want to know, I can tell you." Uzumaki Naruto hesitated for a moment, then said slowly, "I asked the third-generation grandfather who my parents were before, but the third-generation grandfather didn't tell me, and no one else in the village could tell me, so I once guessed that my parents might have done something bad, so that no one wanted to mention them, and that's why the villagers have always hated me and called me a monster." At this point, Naruto's expression was a little depressed, but Naruto raised his head again, with a light in his eyes, and said firmly, "I'm grown up now. I have become a real ninja. I think I have the courage to face everything. No matter what kind of people my parents are, or what mistakes they have made, it can't change the fact that they are my parents." Naruto said with a firm and sincere look, "So, Brother Tianyu, please tell me who my parents are." Perhaps it was because Tianyu's appearance in this world changed Naruto's original childhood experience, so the current Naruto is much more mature than the Naruto in the original book, who was always naughty and wanted to attract attention. Tianyu's expression was a little moved. He didn't expect that Naruto always looked so sunny and cheerful, but in fact, deep in his heart, he had always been carrying such heavy thoughts. "Sarutobi Hiruzen, is this what you did? Let the son of the fourth Hokage fall to this, and you still want to show your kindness and righteousness in front of everyone?" Exclamation mark. What you have done for so many years, even if Minato Namikaze is in the underworld, he will feel chilled. Chapter 120 The Truth of That Year. "Okay, then I'll tell you everything, Naruto." Tianyu nodded, patted Uzumaki Naruto on the shoulder, and then said, "In fact, your parents are not bad people, and they have never done anything wrong. They are great heroes in the village. They sacrificed their lives for the whole village." "What?" Uzumaki Naruto's blue pupils suddenly widened, and his eyes were full of disbelief. He never dared to think about such an answer. "Brother Tianyu, you really didn't lie to me." Naruto's voice became trembling, which was enough to show how much impact this news had on his heart. "Of course I didn't lie to you. Your father is the fourth-generation Hokage of Konoha, Minato Namikaze, who is known as the Golden Flash of Konoha Village, and your mother is a descendant of the Uzumaki clan and the previous nine-tailed Jinchuriki. All these tragedies are because on the day you were born, you were framed by the enemy, causing the nine-tailed fox to run away from Kushina Uzumaki during childbirth. In order to protect the village and you, who had just been born, your parents chose to sacrifice their own lives and seal the nine-tailed fox in your body." Tianyu explained truthfully. When Tianyu collected Naruto Uzumaki's chakra before, he had already explained to Naruto Uzumaki that his chakra was different from that of other people. So Naruto Uzumaki had long known that the nine-tailed demon fox was sealed in his body, so it was not difficult for him to understand this matter at this time. But even so, after hearing the truth of all this, Uzumaki Naruto was stunned for a long time before he came to his senses. With some confusion in his eyes, he asked Tianyu, "Brother Tianyu, but if my parents are both great heroes, why do people hate me so much?" "Because there are not many people in this village who know that you are the son of the fourth Hokage." Tianyu took a sip of the tea in the cup, and then in Uzumaki Naruto's confused eyes, he continued to narrate, "After the Night of the Nine Tails, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen blocked the news that you are the son of the fourth Hokage in the village. This matter was classified as the highest level of secrets and no one was allowed to leak it. However, the fact that the Nine Tails was sealed in your body was spread by the Konoha high-level officials and made known to the people in the village. So the treatment you suffered in the village before. In fact, it can be said that it was caused by those people in the Konoha high-level officials, including Sarutobi Hiruzen. The original work did not describe too much about Naruto's childhood experiences. Many of the secrets were not revealed until Tianyu entered the Anbu and read a large number of files, and then deduced the truth of the matter. And what Tianyu said just now caused a greater impact on Naruto's psychology. An elder who was very close to him, or the only person he admired since he was a child except for Tianyu's elder brother. Now he was told that the miserable treatment he received in his childhood was caused by Grandpa Hokage? Brother Tianyu, you said that all this was caused by Grandpa Hokage? Grandpa Hokage, why did he do this? Naruto stood up from the stool with an excited look on his face and asked Tianyu loudly. Because they are also afraid of the power of the Nine Tails. The power of the Nine Tails. Naruto lowered his head and looked at his stomach. That's right. Tianyu nodded, and continued, no matter it is you or your sacrificed parents, in Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart, they are incomparable to the safety of the entire village. For the peace of Konoha, Sarutobi Hiruzen can sacrifice anyone, which of course includes your childhood happiness. Uzumaki Naruto was confused. Tianyu could only continue to explain, because of the power of the tailed beasts and the special nature of the Jinchuriki. No matter which village it is, the Jinchuriki is a super weapon level existence, and it is a crucial weapon in the war. For the cage of the 5 major villages, a very important thing is to control the power of the Jinchuriki under their own control. And the trick used by Sarutobi Hiruzen is the emotional card. Emotional card. Uzumaki Naruto scratched his head. This time he felt that he didn't understand it all. That's right. You have lost your parents and have become an orphan. You are very lacking in emotions. Only when the people in the village hate you will it be difficult for you to establish a bond with others and have a higher desire for emotions. You are lonely and helpless, so you will feel touched by the little care that Sarutobi Hiruzen gives you every time, and then obey his words. Naruto was stunned for a while, and then hesitantly said, Brother Tianyu, do you mean that the Hokage grandfather made everyone in the village treat me badly, and then he treated me well, just to make me listen to him and control me? Tianyu nodded. Naruto's face suddenly became much uglier. Then, Brother Tianyu, why can you get close to me? And since the Hokage has issued a gag order for these things, if you tell me directly like this, it won't cause you any trouble, right? At this moment, after listening to Tianyu's words, the benevolent image of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd generation Hokage, which has been constructed in Naruto's heart for so many years, instantly collapsed. Naruto felt that the only person he could trust was probably the elder brother Tianyu in front of him. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't guard against our relationship before, because I was actually only 1 year older than you. At that time, he didn't know my true strength, so he didn't take our relationship seriously. Now I tell you the truth of the past for 2 reasons. First, I think your heart is mature enough. Knowing the truth of the past earlier can relieve a lot of your pain. From now on, you don't have to feel inferior because you are an orphan or called a fox demon, because you are the son of the 4th Hokage. They all sacrificed themselves to protect Konoha. They sealed the 9 tails in your body to protect Konoha. You should feel extremely proud of your existence. The second reason is that my current strength is strong enough. Those people in Konoha's high level, including Sarutobi Hiruzen, are no longer a threat to me. Naruto widened his eyes in surprise and suddenly exclaimed, Elder brother Tianyu, you mean, your current strength is stronger than the Hokage? Chapter 121 New Mission. Facing Naruto's question, Tianyu just smiled faintly and didn't answer directly. Naruto understood the meaning of it without saying it clearly. The air fell into a brief silence. Naruto lowered his head with a complicated expression on his face. Brother Tianyu, I'm leaving first today. I know too many things today. My brain is a little insufficient. I need to spend some time to digest these things. Although Naruto still wanted to pretend that nothing happened and showed a carefree smile as usual. But the expression on his face now can't be called good-looking. It can only be regarded as a forced smile. Tianyu nodded. Now that Naruto has learned the truth of everything, it really takes some time to digest all this information. In the days that followed, Tianyu never saw Naruto again. It was said that he was a member of Team 7 and followed Kakashi out of the village to perform a mission. Tianyu had solved the incident in the Land of Waves long ago, so the mission that Naruto and his team went out of the village to perform this time was just an ordinary sea-level mission, so it was not that dangerous at all. Just like that, a month passed quickly. The spring was bright and beautiful, and the breeze blew the grass on the ground and swayed slightly. Tianyu was lying lazily on the lawn next to the number 3 training ground, closing his eyes to rest. He had just finished his training and was enjoying this moment of leisure. It's really relaxing. Tianyu, I ran half of the village to find you, but I didn't expect you to sleep in here. The blue-eyed guy in a green sportswear suddenly appeared beside Tianyu. He felt a headache when he saw Tianyu's lazy and leisurely look. This kid, how come he is getting more and more leisurely? He looks less and less motivated. Since he resigned from the Anbu, he either stayed at home to study ninja tools, or practiced in the training ground, or went to sleep in somewhere, or went shopping with a little girl. This can't go on. Teacher Kai? Why are you here? Don't you have to carry out the mission today? Do you want to come and bask in the sun? Tianyu turned around leisurely, making some space for Might Guy to bask in the sun. Sunbathing? There's something wrong with this kid. Might Guy rubbed his chin with his hand. Although he didn't know what happened to Tianyu before he was in the Anbu, he chose to resign from the Anbu. He must have suffered a great blow, so he became so negative, right? As Tianyu's teacher, at this critical moment in his life, I must give him some positive encouragement. Youth. You must be passionate. Might Guy showed a bright smile on his face and began to say to Tianyu, Tianyu, you should know that you have always been my most proud disciple. Well, you have always been so handsome, and your family background is also good. Of course, your strength is absolutely impeccable. So you must have confidence in yourself. Don't worry, no matter what happens, your teacher will always stand behind you and support you. As he said, Might Guy opened his arms and wanted to hug Tianyu. Hey, I don't like you. After being praised by Might Guy like this, Tianyu, who was still a little sleepy, suddenly felt a chill. He grabbed Might Guy's collar and threw him out. Really? Those words sounded gay. Teacher Kai must have something wrong with his brain again. Hey, how come your strength is getting stronger and stronger? Might Guy stood up from the ground in the distance and complained. He would not be injured by such a degree, but being thrown away by his own apprentice with one hand still made him feel a little depressed. Although they did not really fight, Might Guy could feel that the boy's strength was getting more and more terrifying. Teacher Kai, you came to me, not just to praise me, right? Tianyu sighed helplessly. Of course not. Speaking of serious things, Might Guy's expression was also serious. I came to you this time to tell you that this year's Chunin exam is approaching. Kakashi, Asuma and I are all Jonin instructors. In principle, we cannot interfere in the affairs of the Chunin exam in order to avoid it. So Konoha is temporarily short of manpower. The Hokage sent me to ask you. If you are not on a mission recently, can you serve as an examiner for the second round of the Chunin exam? Tianyu narrowed his eyes. Was he sent by Sarutobi Hirozen? He also deliberately chose Mr. Kai, who was closest to him in the village. The meaning behind Sarutobi Hirozen's behavior was self-evident. Obviously, although a lot of things happened between them, Sarutobi Hirozen still wanted to ease the relationship between him and Tianyu. Although Tianyu had proposed to resign from the Anbu before, Sarutobi Hirozen still had not given up the idea of recruiting him. After all, whether it was the current strength or the future potential, Tianyu was a well-deserved genius in Konoha village. There were only a few strong people in Konoha now. Konoha's current combat power had not been fully recovered since the loss of most of them on the night of the Nine Tails. A strong man like Tianyu was crucial to the safety of Konoha. As long as he was still within the controllable range, Sarutobi Hirozen would not give up the idea of winning him over. The examiner of the second exam? Shouldn't it be Tianyu? Tianyu asked curiously. Huh? Tianyu, you are well informed. You didn't attend this Jonin meeting, but you know the arrangements of this meeting very well. A hint of surprise flashed in Might Guy's eyes, then he nodded and said to Tianyu truthfully, yes, the examiner of the second Chunin exam was originally scheduled to be Tianyu, but just a few days ago, several unrecognizable corpses were found on the border of the Land of Fire. The only feature of them was that their entire faces were taken away by others, and their deaths were very horrible. This matter has attracted the attention of the Hokage. The Hokage is worried that something unexpected will happen in this Chunin exam, so he wants to appoint you as the examiner of the second exam, the Forest of Death. But after all, this is your first time as an examiner, and he is afraid that you are not familiar with it for the first time, so he appointed Tianyu as your deputy. Don't worry, she will assist you in completing the assessment of the second round of the Chunin exam. Okay, I understand, I'll take this task. Tianyu nodded and agreed. Is it almost time for the Chunin exam? Things are starting to get interesting. Tianyu smiled faintly. Tianyu accepted this task and agreed to be the examiner of the second exam for a very simple reason, which is, I can't wait to meet you. Sanfuagara. And Orochimaru. Chapter 122, Mitaishi Red Bean. Boss, give me 30 strings of 3-color meatballs. A purple-haired girl wearing a beige windbreaker and a sexy fishnet lining inside said to the boss of the meatball shop with a smile, and her personality seemed very straightforward. Okay. Few people in the store bought so many meatballs at once. The boss looked up and saw that it was the old customer Yudashienko. He quickly took out a large wrapping paper with a smile, wrapped 30 strings of 3-color meatballs in it, and handed it to Yudashienko. Ha ha ha, I can eat to my heart's content this time. Yudashienko looked at the handful of 3-color meatballs in her hand with satisfaction, holding them in front of her chest like a big bouquet of flowers. She took out one string of 3-color meatballs and put it into her mouth, intending to taste the sweet and sticky meatballs. Unexpectedly, the meatball in Yudashienko's hand suddenly disappeared, and her teeth only bit a ball of air, completely empty-handed. Yudashienko noticed someone appeared. She looked up, and saw a boy who was a little taller than her, standing beside her at some point, and in his hand was the string of meatballs in her hand just now. The grudge of stealing meatballs is irreconcilable. Hey! Yudashienko was about to speak. She heard the boy, who didn't look very old, asked with some confusion, the taste is so-so, I don't think it's very delicious, why do you like it so much? Asshole! You stole my meatballs, and you dare to say that my favorite meatballs are not delicious. It's really too much? Yudashienko's eyes swept across Tianyu's body very sharply, and she threatened him very unhappy. Hey, boy! Hurry up and compensate me with double the meatballs. Otherwise, I will make you pay for it today. What a bad temper. Tianyu sighed. Midash Red Bean, you are not so young, and you have entered menopause, right? What did you say? Exclamation mark. Yudashienko was instantly furious. Her hair stood on end with rage. She pulled out a kunai from the bag of ninja tools on her leg, and threw it in the direction of the boy in front of her. However, the moment the kunai was thrown, Yudashienko regretted it in her heart. This handsome boy in front of her, although taller than herself, looked only 13 or 14 years old, just a little kid. What kind of strength could a person of this age have? Junin? If he was a little stronger, he would have just been promoted to Chunin. After all, she was a special Junin. Even if it was a kunai thrown casually, it was not something that a Junin or a Chunin could deal with. The same thing happened to her. Why did she throw the kunai so easily just now? If she hurt him, she would probably get into trouble again. She should have chosen to punch this kid and beat him up. Just when Yudashienko was regretting it in her heart, in her eyes, a rather surprising scene took place. Huh? The boy, facing the kunai flying towards him, did not dodge or avoid it. He just calmly stretched out his index and middle fingers and gently clamped the kunai flying towards his throat. Yudashienko, are you planning to murder your superior? Superior. Yudashienko's face changed. She was not stupid and locked on Tianyu's identity in an instant. Although he was very young, the fact that he could catch her kunai easily was enough to prove that he was quite strong. Moreover, the guy who claimed to be her superior. Are you Lord Mu? Although she already had the answer in her heart, looking at the tender face of the boy in front of her, Yudashienko still couldn't help but hesitate in her tone. Although Yudashienko had heard of Tianyu's name before, she had never really met him. This was the first time the two met. Yudashienko couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Young? Too young. Her superior was so young that it was hard to believe. It's me. Tianyu nodded. Yudashienko, hello to Tianyu-sama. After learning the other party's identity, Yudashienko immediately knelt on one knee and bowed in front of Tianyu. During the period of the Chunin exam, Tianyu was Yudashienko's direct superior, so she naturally didn't dare to be disrespectful. Get up. Tianyu said lightly. Yes. Yudashienko got up from the ground and asked, Sir, Tianyu came to me to ask about various matters related to the Chunin exam. That's right. Tianyu nodded and said modestly, because I was promoted directly to Jonin by the Hokage, so I have never participated in this form of Chunin exam. This time, the Hokage suddenly asked me to be the examiner. I do have a lot of things I don't understand about the process, and I need to ask you for advice. Ask for advice? Mitara Shianko secretly sighed in her heart. Lord Amemayu, are you sure you are not coming to Versailles with these words? Although she complained like this in her heart, Mitara Shianko still took out a scroll from her ninja tool bag and handed it to Amemayu. Lord Amemayu, I have recorded the details of this Chunin exam on this scroll. Lord Hokage has explained to me before that although you are the examiner of the second round of the Chunin exam in the Forest of Death, you don't need to do too much for this exam. As your deputy, I will help you make all the arrangements. However, if any accident happens during this exam, please, Lord Tianyu, enter the examination room as soon as possible to protect the safety of those genin. Okay, I understand. Tianyu put the scroll in his arms, and then said to Mitara Shianko with a serious look, by the way, besides this, I have something else to tell you. Please, Lord Tianyu. Mitara Shianko said respectfully. Eat less meatballs and desserts in the future. Mitara Shianko raised her head in confusion. Meow meow meow? What? If you eat too much, you will get fat, and then you will really become an old lady. Tianyu said earnestly. Thinking of the original story, Hong Dao's fat appearance later, it really makes people feel that it is such a pity. After saying this, Tianyu turned into a black shadow and disappeared from Utarashi Hongdao's sight, leaving Utarashi Hongdao still confused, standing blankly on the street, looking at the big handful of meatballs in her hand. For a while, she was in a dilemma whether to continue eating or not eating, and her expression became extremely tangled. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Naruto's Mentality. After talking to Red Bean about the Chunin exam, Tianyu just returned home, and Tiantian walked towards him and said, Brother, Lord Kakashi came to our house to look for you just now. Kakashi? What did he want to see me for? To be fair, he and Kakashi were not very close, and they hardly interacted with each other on weekdays. It seems to be related to Naruto. Tiantian frowned slightly. It seems that Naruto has been in a very negative mood recently. Since he returned to the village after completing the mission last time, he has been staying at home and has never gone out. Even when Kakashi took the initiative to treat them and took the members of their Team 7 to eat barbecue, Naruto did not go. This is really abnormal. So Kakashi Sr. is a little worried, so he wants to come and ask you. Or is there something wrong? Tianyu thought about it, and then said to Tiantian, Okay, I know, I will go to Naruto's house to see, you can eat dinner first, no need to wait for me. When the voice fell, Tianyu had disappeared in the yard. He did not go directly to Naruto's house, but went to Ichiraku Ramen first, packed to Ichiraku Ramen, and then knocked on Naruto's door. After waiting for a while, the door was opened. Naruto was wearing pajamas, his hair was messy and he hadn't washed it for several days. He looked sloppy and haggard. When he saw Tianyu appear at his door, he was obviously very surprised. Brother Tianyu? Why are you here? I brought you some food. I guess you haven't eaten well these days. Tianyu walked into Naruto's house with 2 packed ramen in his hand, and then found that there were indeed several instant noodle buckets that had not been thrown away on his dining table. I'll clean it up now. Naruto felt very embarrassed when Tianyu saw that his room was so messy. He quickly cleaned up the room and threw all the garbage into the trash can outside. Finally, Tianyu had a place to stay. Brother Tianyu, Naruto was about to speak when he was interrupted by Tianyu. Let's eat first. If you have anything to say, we can talk after we finish eating. Tianyu said lightly. Oh. Naruto nodded obediently. Although Naruto's heart has changed a lot during this period, he still listens to what Tianyu said. Slurp slurp, the sound of 2 people eating noodles in big mouthfuls rang out in the room. Food always makes people feel happy, not to mention that Tianyu and Naruto both like Ichiraku ramen. After they finished eating all the ramen in the bowl, they both burped happily. And Naruto's previous low mood has obviously improved a lot. After cleaning up the tableware, Tianyu patted Naruto's head. Let's go. Let's go out for a walk. You haven't been out for so many days. If you don't see the sun, you will get moldy. Brother Tianyu. Naruto lowered his head, looking depressed. Tianyu deliberately teased, "Why, you don't want to go out with me?" Naruto shook his head quickly. No, Tianyu elder brother. I'm willing to do whatever Tianyu elder brother asks me to do, but I don't really want to go out on the street now. After saying this, Naruto's face was left with only loneliness. Alice. Tianyu sighed, and put away his cynical look. He walked to Naruto and pulled Naruto to sit down. Don't you know how to face the people in Konoha? Naruto was still young at this time, and had never met Jiraiya, who treated him like a son. Because of Tianyu's support, Naruto and Iruka teacher were not as close as in the original book. Since Tianyu told him about his life experience, Naruto at that time, although he still tried to smile, but after returning home, he recalled his experience in Konoha more and more. He was devastated. His parents were heroes who saved Konoha, and he, as the descendant of heroes, used himself as a container to seal Konoha's disaster, the Nine Tails. Why was he hated by everyone in Konoha, and why did no one stand by him except Tianyu? Why did he have to live alone on the few relief funds issued by Konoha since he was a child? Why were the meals you bought leftovers, and sometimes even mixed with gravel? Exclamation mark. Naruto was puzzled, really puzzled. After learning about his life experience from Tianyu, Naruto also looked up some information about his parents. Kakashi teacher is my father's disciple. Kakashi teacher seems to know that I am the son of the fourth Hokage. Even so, Kakashi teacher has never told me any news, and he has not given me a little care for my father's contribution to the village. He is even worse than the teachers of other ninja teams, and is often late for missions. In this world, except for brother Tianyu, it seems that no one stands by me. Naruto is very lonely. He really can't understand why he, the son of a hero, is treated so badly? Exclamation mark. Hostile to Konoha. Hate Konoha. Maybe. But if you ask Naruto to take revenge on Konoha and kill people in Konoha with his own hands, he can't do it. Although he grew up in the darkness of loneliness, Naruto's heart is still bright. Tianyu came to his house to find him, and he was very happy. Because this is the only person he can trust in this world. When Tianyu wanted to invite him to go out for a walk, he hesitated. Now Naruto really doesn't want to interact with Konoha. When Tianyu asked him, "Don't know how to face the people in Konoha." Naruto was silent. In the end, he opened his heart to the only person he could trust in this world. He nodded and admitted it. Tianyu reached out and caressed Naruto's golden hair lovingly. Naruto, there is one thing I need to make clear to you. Konoha is indeed unfair to you, but that doesn't mean that all the people in Konoha are bad. Most of the residents of Konoha were misled by the sovereign figures of Konoha, which led to their misunderstanding of you. There are many good people in Konoha, but they are just stupid, blinded and don't know the truth. You should resist those in power in Konoha. They are the ones who treat you like this. At this point, Tianyu paused. Don't worry, Naruto. It won't be long before Konoha will be reshuffled, and those who made Konoha rot will also be rotten in their turn. It won't be long before they will get their retribution. When that happens, Naruto, I will make Konoha give you a fair return. Chapter 124, Arrangements before the Chunin exams. Really? Brother Tianyu. Are all the things you just said to me true? Naruto raised his head, his eyes were shining. The pain that had been pent up in his heart was finally resolved at this moment, and his eyes once again shone with the light of the past. Of course, when have I ever lied to you? Tianyu said with a smile. Naruto nodded, I believe you, brother Tianyu. Okay, don't think too much, your top priority now is to prepare well for your Chunin exam. Tianyu smiled and patted Naruto's shoulder. In the original work, Naruto, until he had the strength of a cage, he still couldn't successfully pass the Chunin exam. Yes, brother Tianyu. Naruto's face showed an excited expression, and he said to Tianyu firmly, Brother Tianyu, don't worry, I will definitely prepare well for the exam during this period. Hey, I will definitely not embarrass you, brother Tianyu during the exam. Don't forget what I told you before. Tianyu reminded. I won't forget it. Naruto scratched his head, with a silly smile on his face. Since I knew that the Nine Tails was sealed in my body, I have been trying to communicate with it, but this guy has a really bad temper. He didn't even pay attention to me once. But I have always listened to your instructions, brother Tianyu. I have been trying to draw chakra from the body of the Nine Tails for my own use. Although my ability to control the Nine Tails chakra is not enough now, I have learned a little bit. Naruto told Tianyu about his situation without reservation. In his opinion, the only person in the village who is trustworthy now is brother Tianyu. And he also knows that brother Tianyu is the one who is really good to him. It's okay, it's just that your current strength is too weak, so the Nine Tails ignored you. Tianyu had expected all this. With the Nine Tails Kurama's arrogant personality, Naruto is only a Jonin now, and is not enough to enter his eyes, so it is normal for him to ignore Naruto's communication. Is your strength too weak? Naruto clenched his fists and said firmly, I must become stronger. Get the recognition of the Nine Tails. Since Tianyu communicated with Naruto that day, Naruto has indeed changed a lot. Not only is he no longer negative, but he has also become early and late. He stays in the training ground every day to practice and becomes very diligent. Even Naruto's instructor, the Jonin Hatake Kakashi, was surprised by the changes in Naruto. He didn't know how Tianyu did all this. As the Chunin exam approached, more and more ninjas from other ninja villages in Konoha village signed up to participate in the Chunin exam. Walking on the streets of Konoha, you can often see ninjas from other ninja villages wearing forward protectors and strange clothes. For a while, the already bustling streets of Konoha became even more lively. In addition to the increase in vendors, there were also more frictions. Tianyu knew that during the Chunin exam, Orochimaru would take this opportunity to join forces with the Sands village to launch the Konoha collapse plan, so the village would be quite unsafe in the following period of time. So Tianyu found an excuse, saying that he urgently needed a batch of materials and needed his parents to help him go out to the Iron Country to buy them. The Iron Country is close to the Earth Country and the Lightning Country. Tianyu's parents are not ninjas. With the strength of their caravan and the goods they transported, it would take at least 2 months to return. By then, whether it was the Konoha collapse plan launched by Orochimaru in the Sands village during the Chunin exam, or Tianyu's later plan, by that time, it would have been settled. Without the restraint of his parents, Tianyu would be able to show his strength in the subsequent battles. Only his sister, who would take the Chunin exam this time, would be with him every day. Tianyu certainly had enough confidence to protect her. As for Tianyu's arrangement, although her parents felt a little sorry that they couldn't stay in Konoha and give Tiantian some encouragement and support during the exam, they still agreed. After all, the materials that their baby son said he needed were very important. So a few days ago, Tianyu's parents, Tiantian and his wife, had set off for the Iron Country under the escort of a group of ninjas. At home, Tianyu and Tiantian were the only ones left. In order to perform better in the Chunin exam, Tiantian pestered Tianyu to train with her every day. Oh, brother, I'm still a little nervous. Don't worry, with your current strength, there are not many people who can be your opponent among those who take the exam. Tianyu smiled and rubbed Tiantian's little head, and then pulled the 2 little tufts on her head. Although Tiantian, who is now 13 years old, has completely looked like a girl, in Tianyu's eyes, she is still as cute as when she was a child. Oh, I just want to show off. Tiantian stuck out his tongue and said to Tianyu with a smile, I want everyone to know that Tianyu, your sister is also a very powerful ninja. Hey, let him go. Bullying a child is nothing. If you have the ability, come and fight me. Just when Tianyu was about to speak, Naruto's voice suddenly came from the front, interrupting the conversation between Tianyu and Tiantian. Huh? Tianyu looked forward with some curiosity. Who is Naruto talking to? Stop it. You will be scolded if you do this. Besides, he is just a child. Stop it, Kenjiro. Tianyu vaguely heard a girl's voice saying beside him. Kenjiro? Could they have arrived? Sure enough, Tianyu saw a boy in purple clothes with purple lines on his face from a distance. He was carrying something tied up with bandages on his back. It should be his puppet crow. He was holding a child in one hand, it seemed to be Konohamaru. At this time, Naruto was standing in front of him and shouting angrily. Then, the blonde girl standing behind him with a huge folding fan on her back should be Temari, right? Hey, who are you? How can you treat a child like this? It's too much? Sakura and Sasuke walked out from the side without knowing when. It looks so lively, come on, brother, let's go and take a look. Before Tianyu could say anything, Tiantian, who was an enthusiastic citizen, had already pulled his arm and strode over with a curious look on his face. Tianyu held his forehead with his hand. When would his sister change her habit of joining in the fun? Chapter 125. I'm already a jonin. HMPH, this brat was walking without paying attention and bumped into me, so what's wrong with me giving him a beating? Kenjiro grabbed Konohamaru's collar, looked at the Konoha people who came over, and sneered. I hate brats the most. You are so arrogant at such a young age, I really want to kill you right here. I'd better get rid of this brat first, and then I'll deal with you. After saying that, Kenjiro's fist had already landed on Konohamaru's face. Stop. In a hurry, Naruto rushed out all of a sudden. He opened his arms and blocked Konohamaru in front of him, closed his eyes tightly, and waited for the fist to fall on his face. What a trouble. Tianyu in the distance sighed helplessly. Originally, he was too lazy to care about such a small matter, but the other party was a ninja from the Sands village after all. Let them run wild in Konoha village so arrogantly, and even bully Naruto. He really couldn't just sit back and watch. Tianyu kicked a small stone on the road casually. The small stone flew up from the ground and hit Kenjiro's fist in the direction of Kenjiro quickly and accurately. Kenjiro suddenly felt a pain in his wrist, as if he had a cramp, and his face showed a painful expression. While Kenjiro was distracted, Naruto immediately rescued Konohamaru in his hand and took him aside. Kenjiro looked at the small stone that hit him just now, then his eyes fell on Tianyu in the distance, frowned and asked, Did you hit him just now? I did. Tianyu nodded. Wow. Konoha still has such a handsome guy. Temari exclaimed. Who are you? Kankuro held the wrist of his other hand with one hand, and kept turning it to try to regain consciousness. Then, he showed an unhappy and disgusted expression on his face, looking at Tianyu in front of him. Huh? Here comes another annoying kid. Sister Dawn, brother Tianyu. Naruto saw Tianyu and immediately shouted with joy. He. This is Konoha. Since you are from other villages and have come to Konoha, you must abide by the rules of Konoha. If you dare to fight in the village, I don't mind asking the guards to take you to have tea. Of course, if you want to fight, I don't mind, but of course, I can't guarantee that you will have the opportunity to participate in the Chunin exam at that time. Tianyu said in a somewhat cold tone. Tianyu's current attitude towards Konoha is the same as his attitude towards his alma mater in his previous life. Even though it may have many bad things, it is not the turn of an outsider to look down on it. Of course, he would choose a suitable time to purge the decay and darkness of Konoha village, but as long as he was still in Konoha, he would never allow anyone to challenge Konoha's authority. What? Damn kid. Kenjiro gritted his teeth and put down the big guy wrapped in bandages on his back. Hey, Kenjiro, are you going to use your crow ear? That guy will be angry. Temari said anxiously. It seemed that she was not concerned about whether Kenjiro's crow could defeat the opponent, but whether that guy she mentioned would be angry. Kenjiro didn't care about Temari's instructions at all. He just stared at Tianyu coldly. Puppet Master. Do you think your broken stuff can pose any threat to me? Tianyu said lightly. Damn it. Kenjiro was so angry that his face turned red. He stretched out his hand to tear the bandage tied to the puppet, intending to let this ignorant kid in front of him taste the power of his puppetry. Stop, Kankuro. At this time, a cold voice sounded. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke were all startled. At such a close distance, they didn't even notice when that person appeared there. Tianyu, on the other hand, set his eyes on the red-haired boy on the tree over there. Finally appeared. Gaara. Tianyu looked with interest at Gaara, who was hanging upside down on the tree trunk not far away, with a huge gourd on his back. There was a rare curiosity and fighting spirit in his eyes, but this curiosity and fighting spirit was not for Gaara, but for the one-tailed Shukaku in his body. Now, who is stronger, him or the one-tailed Shukaku? Just as Tianyu was thinking, the voice of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. Ling. Mission released, collect the chakra of the one-tailed Shukaku. Mission reward, Wind Forge and Drawing, collect the chakra of the one-tailed Shukaku. With his current relationship with Gaara, it is impossible to collect chakra in a peaceful way like he did with Naruto. He could only use some means to strip the Shukaku chakra from his body during the battle. However, Tenai was not in a hurry to complete this task. There would be a battle between him and Shukaku, And now was not the time to start. Idiot. Gar cursed Kankuro in a cold voice. You will bring shame to our village. What do you think we are doing here? Then Gar's pupils moved slightly, and after a glance at Sasuke, they locked onto Tianyu. Kankuro's face immediately changed drastically, cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he hurriedly explained, listen to me, Gara, they were the first to pick a fight. Shut up, or I will kill you first. Gar's cold words without any tone finally made Kankuro's face change drastically, and he shut his mouth obediently. What we did just now was wrong, and I apologize to you here. Gara turned around and apologized without even looking at Kankuro. Although he was apologizing, his eyes were always on Tianyu, and he completely ignored other people. I'm from the Sand Village, and my name is Sanfo Gara. Now, can you tell me your name? Gar jumped down from the tree and walked in front of Tianyu and asked. Gar's behavior of first announcing his home and then asking Tianyu's name can be said to be full of respect. Tianyu certainly had no reason to hide his identity. Tianyu. Your name, I remember it, I'm looking forward to seeing you during the Chunin exam, I hope I won't be disappointed when I fight you. Gara looked at Tianyu with interest and said. You will indeed see me during the Chunin exam, but you may not have the opportunity to fight me. Tianyu put his hands in his pockets and said leisurely, because I'm not a candidate for the Chunin exam this time, but the examiner of your Chunin exam this time. Sorry, although I'm the same age as you, I'm already a Jonin. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.